Greetings and salutation, everyone. This is Andreas, Pop Culture Guy. I'm your moderator tonight for our new TV weekly discussion. It is on It. Welcome to Derry. This is the HBO show, of course, being produced by the Machetes, who've done the two It films back in 2017, 2019. And, sorry, losing my voice right now. But anyway, I'm back here again with my three awesome people here. Let me introduce them. First, let me introduce Chris from the Nerds and Geeks Kitchen Sink. Hello, sir. How you doing? Welcome back. It was nice to see you again.
How's everyone doing? Yeah, it's a good weekend and good series to talk about right now.
Yes, I agreed. Then, of course, we got JF's TrueKnowledge, the co-host of the MCU'S Edge. How you doing, sir?
Yo, I'm good, man.
Awesome. And of course, we got
good to be back.
Yeah, it's been a long time to get back here. And then we got Cyberneticshark, the co-host of MCU'S Edge as well. How you doing, sir?
I am good, and I am a cyber something.
Yes, a Cyberneticshark. Huh? I don't know.
Last time I checked, it was Cyberneticshark, but
yes. I'm sorry. It's been a while. I seen you, sir. I was like, wait,
it'd be very interesting if Cyber showed up one week with a new title.
Yes, I was gonna say Cybernetic Turtle, like it's because it's the turtles in this episode. But anyway, it's a deep Stephen King reference. But anyway, so yeah, everyone knows. The It miniseries or like book, we want to call it, the franchise itself is a Stephen King. It was first published in 1986. A very iconic book. It's part of the Stephen King universe. If you want to go in this rabbit hole, yes, there is a shared universe of Stephen King. If you read his couple of his Stephen King novels, particularly The Dark Tower, I know that series, The Dark Tower, really connects the universe that he has created over the years. So, not the 2017 film.
I wasn't even aware of Dr. Sleep until yesterday.
Yes. Yeah.
I didn't even know it existed until yesterday. I saw a scene of it on YouTube.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Great film. If you like The Shining. Yeah.
Oh, I love that actress. That's in it. She's great.
Oh,
the one from Dude, that European actress,
Rebecca Ferguson.
Yeah. She's great. She's regal.
Yeah, she's the best villain in
Rose
that show.
the Hat. Yeah.
Rose the Hat. Yes, best villain in the movie. Highly recommend watching that movie. It's really great.
Her depiction of Paul's mother in Dude is excellent.
Yes. Actually, yeah, she's best in. Yeah, she's great in Dune, and everyone knows her from the Mission Impossible movies as Elsa. She's also great in that.
That's a tough character to play. The mother of Paul.
Really? Well, you read the Dune stuff, right? Because I
forget her name right now off the top of my head. I can't remember because it's been so long since I fucked with Dune. But that's a tough character to play.
Yeah. I just need to get into more stuff for Dune. But anyway, Tacy, that's her name.
I can't remember the name of the mother right now, but she's a very important character because she's one of the Bene Gesserit,
Yeah, which the show was the Dune Sisterhood, right? That is focused on that, right? Which we reviewed last year, which was kind of crazy. It's been a year since that show. Yes, Yes, Rebecca Ferguson. I know the name. I was just wondering, you were mentioning what Jeff was talking about, the character's name.
Lady Jessica.
She's good at Lady Jessica. Yeah, she's good at everything. I've never seen her not be good.
No, she's always been good in every movie I've seen her in. So back to it. Let's stick. We got 2 episodes here. Let me go round robin. Let me start with you, Cyber, because you're the one that's poking my balloon here. What are your thoughts on the show? With first episode, and even the second one. Let's. What's your opinion overall with the first two episodes? Are you a big fan of it as a show, and the former miniseries and the films? Go ahead.
So, absolutely fantastic first two episodes. Really enjoyed them. Thought they were done really well. There was some really fucked up shit in both of them, which, once again, we're going for that mother theme, I feel, especially in these first two episodes. If you've seen any of Barbarian, if you have seen Weapons, there's like a mother, like, I feel, overall thought process in those writings, and I feel it got taken over into this a little bit with the two crazy sequences in both of these episodes that include mothers. So I'm just like thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, what is this mother's fixation recently with everything? So I thought it was kind of interesting that this series had kind of that feeling too, just like kind of what the, Barbarian and Weapons went with. So I felt very much like I was watching a part of that universe when I was watching these two episodes. But overall, I think both of them are really fantastic. The acting was great. The visuals are amazing. The set design, the look, and everything looks amazing. I'm really impressed with these first two episodes right off the bat. I mean, the two films that Andy Muschietti did at Chapter 1 and Chapter 2, 2017 and 2019, like you said, back in the day, were very well done films. They were very fun. They were very interesting. They kept closer to the material than the 1990s miniseries. The 1990s miniseries definitely took some liberties and stuff like that and changed it up a little bit from the original book. But this one, at least these two, they decided to really go at it and really do that. And I feel that the series so far is keeping that same kind of feel. And now these aren't this prequel series is not based on any of the books because there's no prequel books. It's just the book itself. So going off of this information, having it interconnect to the original book has been, I thought, really amazing too. So really solid start to this series, really great 2 episodes. And I think that, they're really great accompaniment to those other 2 It films.
Yeah, no, I agree. Jeff, your opinion on the first 2 episodes, and are you a fan of the series, the It, book and all that? Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I will naively and innocently admit that I personally did not tune in and watch either one of the recent It films. I have seen the 80s, the 80s adaptation, the TV movie or whatever it was, which is very dated. It doesn't hold up, very well, in 2025. But back in the day, it was okay. Even back in the day in the 90s, it was a very low budget looking film, right? It wasn't all that scary really because it was so low budget. But I have read the novel, the It novel, the book, and it's great. I read it as a kid, and the story of it, the lore of it is great. I think it's really, really, really creative and really cool that they decided to move away from cinema, and film with it, as a franchise, piece. I really love them going in the direction of doing television with it, with this horror franchise, right? There hasn't been a lot of Stephen King adaptations of television shows. It's all mostly been through movies, right? So I love that. I love that different dichotomy, of doing a Stephen King story, but doing it on the small screen, right? On the television, landscape or space. I just think it's very different, to represent it, the book, the character, outside of just the movie feel or experience, right? I think it's just very, very cool, very interesting for them to, switch it up now, and do TV, right? I love the concept of the show doing 3 seasons where they're going to jump from different years, different decades. Season 1 is 1962, season 2 is 1935, and then season 3 is 1908, right? And that's awesome. That's a really creative, interesting way to do a television show. I mean, we've talked before about how creative and kind of like off-putting it was to experience the huge time jumps in the House of the Dragon, Andres, that we experienced, during that show, right? In that first season, I felt like that was a very unique thing for TV at that time, to have, massive time jumps like that, to where you have to actually have different actresses and actors playing the characters, in the same season. That was a very different, new kind of concept. And I think this concept with it across the span of its 3 seasons, having the big time jumps, but they're actually going to go, instead of going in the future, like most, movies or TV shows would do with this kind of thing, they're actually going to go back in time, from season to season, and actually go back in history, right? Knowing that it's HBO that's ultimately producing this show, I have no doubt that the second and third season in 1935 and 1908 will probably look fucking awesome, like total throwback, like look, very authentic. You know what I mean? And I'm looking forward to it. That's going to be a fun run, watching this show for 3 seasons. It's unfortunate that we'll lose the whole cast, from season to season, right? But unfortunately, that's the one of the unfortunate side effects that you end up with when you decide to do something dynamic and creative, like that, and have 3 distinctly separate seasons of one television show, that are based in completely different, different eras, right? You would not anticipate or expect that there'll be a ton of characters that will be, for instance, in season 2, that are in season 1. There may be a couple, but there won't be that many, So, I think that's a lot of fun, I think that sounds like a really interesting, fun TV show, to do 3 seasons of. And I'm looking forward to watching it, And Cyber's right. I mean, what can you say about everything that we cover that comes from HBO at the end of the day? It's always really, really high quality, television at the end of the day, right? I mean, Doom Prophecy was I don't know, a little bit slow of a TV show, from what I remember, you know what I'm saying? I thought it was okay. I liked it. Because it comes from the Dune universe, of course, which I love, right? I love Dune. And it was totally high end. It looked great. It was expensive. It was well cast, well acted, well written. But it was a very slow TV show for an HBO show, for a sci-fi show, and very dialogue driven, and in general, not what I would consider like a top level HBO show. These first 2 episodes of It, Welcome to Derry are very typical of the high end, top notch, top list HBO quality type television series that come out, right? That we've seen in the past. Everything looks excellent. The set design, the costume design, all the work they put in to make everything feel authentically 1962. It's all there on screen. It's all right there. You can see it. The attention to detail. With representing that era on screen. I feel like they did a really good job, like they always do, of going back in time, and making the show feel really authentically, like, realistically look like it is 1962, all the way from the hairstyles to, the clothing, the look of the town, the stores, the electronic devices of that time, it all looks great. It doesn't look cheap at all. I'll tell you that. But then again, it's also very helpful, I think, for the Muschettis, and Jason Fuchs or whatever, that they are doing this show, in one location at the end of the day, right? Welcome to Derry. We're going to assume will be completely, set in Derry, so that so everything you're going to see that happens in the course of this season of the show is all going to occur in the same location. And at that point, that I think that probably makes it a little bit easier, at the end of the day for the producers, knowing that that they can shoot everything, right in one spot, for the most part, for the whole show. I think that's probably a plus, that's a great thing for the audience too. It's fun to watch and experience and identify with one location, with one city or one town or whatever, when you watch a good movie or a good television show, it's interesting and cool to be able to have a connection with a place, a made up place, like that. So far I think that Derry looks awesome, and it feels really, really scary, right off the bat. They did a really good job, I thought, of bringing the horror aspects of the show in play, from jump in the show. I thought that was a great decision on their part to go in that direction, and lean into, the main focus of it, right from jump, as a tone setter, I think, for the show, and they definitely did that with the opening of episode 1. I like it a lot so far. I think it's great. It's well cast, as always. HBO always does a great job casting all their shows. And, the acting's always great. And, honestly, episode 2 felt like it was quite a bit shorter than episode 1. I thought, kind of. I could be wrong. I'm sure they're probably close in time, but definitely felt shorter. I was kind of surprised when it ended, to tell you the truth. I was expecting more from the episode than what they gave. But other than that, and that's not even really a complaint, but that's just one thing I wanted to to mention. But that's it, sir. I'll save the rest of my comments for the episode breakdown.
Yes, no worries. I was checking the runtime because it's funny. So the second episode is running for 66 minutes. So it was like a much longer than the first one. The first episode was 53 minutes. I just wanted to bring that up because it was
that's one thing about HBO. They keep their episode lengths very close to each other. Like if they don't go a full hour with an episode, they still come in. Every episode will still come in at 51, 52, 53, 54 minutes.
And another thing you brought up.
It's not like fucking AMC, Andres, with Daryl Dixon, where all of a sudden with your finale you drop the fucking the minutes for the episode down to 25.
Yeah, no, I understand where you're coming from. Okay, Cyber, I thought you were gonna say cereal, but okay, that makes sense. Anyway, you brought up TV shows. There has been TV shows of Stephen King. Cyber brought up the
I'm sure. I'm sure that I didn't. I wasn't trying to make it sound like there hasn't been Stephen King TV shows. I wasn't sure which ones there had been, but I assumed there had been one by now.
Oh yeah, no. I'm just answering. There's a couple. I just want to just bring up just a couple. Just Dead Zone has become a TV series. Everyone knows that's the one with the character like seeing the future in Vision. It was made into a movie in 1983 by David Cronenberg, starring Christopher Walken. And then Hulu, actually, we can see this in Hulu. Castle Rock. It's similar to what it's doing, but differently. It is trying to connect all like the Stephen King universe and all that.
Hulu TV shows are so under the radar when it comes to
Yeah.
television. You know, out of all the different television like studios and like platforms out there that you can find television these days, Hulu's television shows are the most like like under the radar. You don't even hear about them when they come out. You know.
Yeah, this was like early on when I think Hulu was like, I don't know, like doing their like ritual program, because that they're getting into that Steven.
When Hulu put out that Marvel show a couple of years ago, that Marvel comic show, with that one supernatural character, Hellstrom or whatever.
Yeah.
Nobody would have ever even known that came out to watch it when it came out. There was no advertisements. There was nothing.
Yeah, well, because that was when Marvel took over the TV stuff, and they were going to start doing Disney.
Yeah, but no, Disney never promotes Hulu's television shows at all to the outside world. You know what I'm saying? If you don't actually go on Hulu and watch, you'd have no idea that something was even coming out.
Yeah, and I just want to, I think I remember now. Hulu was owned by Fox, right? So
Hulu's owned by Disney.
No. Hulu was owned before the Disney deal happened. Hulu was with Fox. So what you're saying, it made a lot of sense to me. Is like, no, Disney didn't own Hulu before they bought out Fox. Just what I'm saying. And Chris, thank you for bringing. Some shows became TV series, and then some shows.
They've changed almost nothing with the platform of Hulu. You know, Disney. That they haven't done anything different. You know, in terms of how they handled the platform. So, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, in terms of advertising the shows and and all that, it's always been the same. Like, like people don't really hear about anything that Hulu puts out. They really, other than their films that they do occasionally, they don't promote heavily their TV shows.
Yeah, the only either it's the films or the FX stuff, which that's the only time people probably know, like, because they stream the FX.
Yes,
stuff. Yeah.
The FX stuff does get promoted. Yes.
Yeah. So no, you're right, Jeff. Yeah, they don't do like jack stuff like promoting stuff.
People knew about Shogun before Shogun came out. Yeah. But like when they did Hellstrom, like nobody fucking knew that show came out. How would you even know?
No, it was so late, and like no one cared really, because Marvel was doing now their own thing, so that was the problem with that. But yeah, anyway, and just wrapping up, of course, some of the books became miniseries, like The Sandlot and The Shining, got redo during the 90s as a miniseries, which was not good. But anyway, Chris, let me hear your thoughts.
Sure.
Your first.
I'm usually I'm usually the guy that poo-poos on a lot of stuff. I'm not going to on this one. So far, it's been really good. I have a very, shall we say, strict like criteria for a show to be good, and so far this has hit it. To kind of address a couple things, the 27-year jumps are because of the lore that he only comes out every 27 years. That's why the first movie was set in 1989. So you've got, you're going to go back 27 years, 1962. Then another 27 years, 1935. And then the last of the series will be basically Pennywise origin. So that's kind of, I had said in the private chat when we first started how many Easter eggs everybody got. Because there are beyond, way more than, like, if you remember The Haunting of Hill House, the whole guess how many ghosts are in the background. the Easter eggs for different Stephen King books are immense. And even, throwbacks of little nods from the original 2 movies are in even the first episode. But I thought it was really kind of neat, starting 1962, and then we start in the theater. I thought one thing, and I know we're going to get into like the detail of the show, but I thought it was kind of neat, and not everybody may get it, why the movie The Music Man was playing sets up the whole entire premise of it. Because it's about a manipulative, lying, cheating charlatan that pretends to be something that he's not to be able to like manipulate the kids to get what he wants. That's the whole premise of The Music Man. And that's the main reason why that movie kind of set the whole, scenario of what it is. And I thought that was kind of a neat decision. But yeah, I completely enjoyed this. Yeah, just to reiterate what you guys said, sets were great. The cinematography, the characters were really good. I have so far 2 episodes in. I've got no complaints. And like I said, we see, especially in this one, we see a lot of characters that will see their kids and parents in the movies. So I really think they took their time building out the lore, and like this is almost like like all the Marvel movies are in the MC universe. There's tons of in the King universe in this. There's throwbacks to books like Dreamcatcher and Firestarter. The Shining. There's just an immense amount of like throwbacks and little Easter eggs to just about the whole entire, like I said, King universe. So, but yeah, that's a.
No, awesome. Yeah. I was surprised how many Easter eggs. When we get into, I have the Screen Rant Easter eggs.
Right.
I will bring it up because there's several they hinted at with the seasons, as Jeff was talking about, the jumps. Because there's one particularly that has been mentioned in chapter 1 about a massacre that it is involved. So yeah, I'm very excited for this series. Just my brief thoughts. I haven't seen the miniseries, the 1990 one with Tim Curry, who was Pennywise. Thankfully, that actor is getting better. He had a massive stroke, which was really sad. But he's getting better, which is good.
Which I will say, I will defend that miniseries till the day that I die. I don't care if it's dated. Tim Curry is, without any special effects, is beyond creepier than Skarsgård, and I love his portrayal of Pennywise, but Tim Curry is the GOAT, and I will throw hands with any son of a bitch that says otherwise.
100%.
Okay, go ahead.
100%.
It's not fair to even really make any kind of comparison because the technology and the graphics, the computer graphics and all that, just weren't there in the 80s compared to like now,
Yeah. No, very good, like a valid thing. So I haven't seen the miniseries, but I understand a lot of people like Tim Curry. I like Tim Curry. He's a great actor. He's always going to be the best actor from the 80s and 90s. Come on, Clue. He was funny in Home Alone 2, all that.
Stephen King films, unfortunately, throughout the 80s and 90s have always, for the most part, been, until the It movies came out, they've always been movies that have always been not funded very well. They've always been lower budget type films, There's never, if you look at the history of Stephen King movies, there's never been a whole lot of money that gets thrown at his movies that are based off his books, There's not a lot of blockbuster Stephen King films. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Yeah.
I mean, certain ones like the Shawshank Redemption, like look, like they put money into them. You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah.
like even the Shawshank Redemption was not a very expensive film to make. You know?
Yeah. No, I understand where you're coming from. Yeah. I mean, it's just the different. Stephen King books are very different. They just lean into more like the horror, thriller side, and some will be successful than others. And
When
well,
it's come to the special effects,
well, yeah.
the casting, in terms of the caliber of the actors they've been able to get into Stephen King films at the different times and different decades that they've done them. They've never been able to bring in A-list talent for Stephen King adaptations, really. It wasn't until these recent It films where they brought in some real, high-list actors to portray characters. In the past, Stephen King films always had like B-list, like secondary level, actors in the films.
Yeah. Well, to be fair though, there were some that to be fair, if it was directed by a well-known director, then we would get A-list, stars. Like The Shining is a good example of that. Like Stanley Kubrick directed. We got Jack Nicholson. I mentioned The Dead Zone, a great film by Derry Cronenberg. We got Christopher Walken. No, it's just it depends on who's going to be a director. Then we get the A-list.
You're right, but again, I just want to point out just real quick. The Shining was not a high budget production at all either. You know what I'm saying? That was a cheaply made film.
I'll push back on that. I don't think high budgets and tons of movie on special effects make a movie great. I mean, look at Carrie. I mean, I would not consider Sissy Spacek a B-list actor, and they didn't spend a god-awful, and that's still like up there on most horror lists.
Oh yeah, well, I mean, look at Godzilla -1. You know what I'm saying? I'm with you.
Right. Yeah. But yeah, and there's a certain sense of nostalgia with some of those, but like I said, you've got Tim Curry, Jack Nicholson, Sissy Spacek, Christopher Walken, Drew Barrymore. I mean, just after actor.
Without question,
Emilio Estevez. Even as kind of hokey as Maximum Overdrive was, you still had well-known actors in that, and for what the movie itself was, I still consider Salem's Lot, the original, one of the most terrifying, just creepy movies of all time.
Yeah,
on certain books and certain films, Chris, I'm with you. They were able, with certain projects, they were able to bring in big name, top-notch, actors for those specific productions. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
but in general, wouldn't you agree though? Last point that when they there's been a lot of adapted Stephen King novels that have been done in film, and unfortunately, a lot of those films, even like the old '80s It movie, it was cheap. It looked cheap even back then.
Well, it was also a TV movie. It wasn't a theatrical release. Yeah. But you also want to go with Stand By Me.
Yeah,
that's a Stephen King book. It's a small novella in the novel For All Seasons, one of his short, multi-story.
Yeah.
And then, Shawshank Redemption was before it, and looking at the actors in there. I think we're just kind of skipping over, the older stuff and a lot of these great actors beforehand that now they're kind of older.
Yeah.
But like I said, I don't think in a lot of these movies you needed to have this gorged, budget. I mean, look at half the Marvel films that have been out in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
They could have probably cut down that budget by $100 million and just made a better written movie.
I just think when it comes to the horror stuff with Stephen King, it's interesting to see, a higher budgeted, productions being made from his stuff, like from what I understand, the It films that came out a couple of years ago, they put some money into them. You know what I'm saying? They look pretty high budget.
Oh, okay. No, thank you, Xavier. No, I agree with you, Jeff. You have a really good point. I think it just depends on like how ambitious the book is, then that's where it becomes a problem where they needed more money. Like the It miniseries. Thankfully, we got a new version that had more money. It really depends on the story and the kind of book they're adapting, because you can easily adapt a book where it doesn't need that big of money. Where maybe something like, I don't know, like Dreamscape or like Dark Tower.
Something like Shawshank Redemption is a no-brainer. When it's, you know what I'm saying? When it's, you know, it's literally when it, you know what I'm saying? When you have something like that, you know, like that, you know, that high quality, high end, you know, story, and then you translate it over into film. Of course, like, you know, something like that is going to attract a high end director, a high end actors. You know what I'm saying? For a project like that, because, you know, you're working with a great source material, right? But that's just the Shawshank Redemption.
Well, I mean,
Yeah.
the Dark Tower, we had Matthew McConaughey, Idris Elba,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
Catherine Winnick. You know, there's tons of well-known, well established actors in that one too. And you know, in all honesty, it didn't do as well as probably people thought it would.
No.
So
Yeah,
just
no.
because it's a project doesn't necessarily mean, and especially with big names.
No, I
it
think
doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be success.
I unfortunately never saw that, brother. But I believe when they initially came out with that film, that the goal was to make that into a trilogy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then whatever happened with, as far as, you know, box office with it or whatever, killed that concept right there.
Well, they're actually working on that being a series now. I'm not sure which studio is doing it, but for one of the streaming services.
That would not surprise me in the current landscape of television and movies, like the way things have been happening the last couple of years. For them to come out and shift over to TV with something like that would not surprise me.
Yeah, it happened with the young youth books, like the dystopian, like when they didn't work, they went into TV. You know, that's going to be a trend. Yeah. Very good discussion on Stephen King. I love Stephen King. He's great. I'm not a big Stephen King reader. I'm more like a movie person. I've seen a lot of their movies. I can't remember how many I've seen them, but like I've seen the usual stuff like Carrie, The Shining.
Things like adapting television shows now, like based off of classic films and things like that, are becoming very popular.
Yeah, I mean, this is not the only one. I mean, like Dune had it before. Yeah, like we're seeing a trend now with that. So let's get into the opening. Actually, I think the opening here. Oh, let me just. I didn't say my thoughts. I really liked the first episode. I seen the first new movies, the 2017, the 2019. I thought Amy Machete did a really good job of adapting the book. I agree with Cyber. It was a great, faithful adaptation to the source material. I really like Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise. I think he's a really great new addition to the version. I cannot compare to him to Tim Curry. They're two different performances. Like, let's be honest here. You know, you have one that's for a TV thing, and then you got this one for the big screen. But I think Bill Skarsgård does bring a menace and a terror that makes a lot of sense with the character of Pennywise. And I'm very happy he's coming back for the show, because I was kind of curious if we're gonna get the original team, and we did. And I think this first two episodes, I'm like so stoked. First off, we're in 1962, the same year I was born as a Time Lord, so that's great. And I agree with Jeff. One of the awesome things about it was the time jumps, or the many years that Pennywise like hibernates and comes out. I always wonder, like, those betweens, you know, in the chapter 1 and chapter 2. So I like that we're going to really see that with this, like, hopefully the 3-season run, and we're going to get this with it, you know, as Jeff brought up before. And because there's so much stuff that the
seeing decades like the 1930s and like 1908 on screen is going to be really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And of course, guess what? The novel like says those dates are particular because that's where it became prominent in that time period. So yeah, I'm very excited for this show. I think the gore, the special effects, the production design is all top notch, like the movies from chapter 1 and chapter 2. The cast is great. I really like the adult cast here. Really love that, and I love the kids here. They're not as good as the chapter 1, but they really good, and I'm very excited to follow them. So let's get into the recap here. Let's go into the opening here, where we're in 1962, Derry, Maine. Of course, the main site for the clown himself, Pennywise. We meet a boy named Matty Clements, where he's in the movie theater, where he sees the movie called The Musical Man, as Chris brought up before, where we see the main song that's kind of prominent for this episode called "Ya Got Trouble." That's the song that this song is for this movie. But he's in the movie free, which is not good. So while he's in the movie theater, the usher kind of catches him without the ticket. So he escapes. But then we see one of the major kids for the cast and her dad. That's going to be a major plot line in the next episode we're going to discuss. And then after that, he escapes outside. He's walking, the outskirts of the city, where he gets picked up by the family. The father and the mother ask him where to drop him off, and then he kind of replies, "Anywhere but Derry." I'm like, okay. And then they accepted him because apparently they're going to was it Portland or something like that? Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And then he just gets into the car, but then this is where this episode was really, I was like, oh yeah, they still got it. Strangely, he becomes unnerved by the family's increasingly strange behavior, and this is further confused when they re-enter Derry, which that kind of gives me signals that, oh god, he's the first victim we're going to see with Pennywise here. And of course the wife suddenly gives birth to a monstrous wind baby. By the way, that wind baby was kind of goofy, but the way it came out was really gross. So we got that, and the wind baby kills the kid Maddie, and then we cut into credits where we see the Welcome to Derry. By the way, this is not our main title credits. It's going to be, the main one is from episode 2. This was a really cool way to bring us back to the universe, going back to the sewers, because that's a big thing in the movies and the lore, the Derry sewers. So let me stop there and let me get to Chris. Chris, what do you thought about this opening of seeing Manny, the theater, and his killed by Pennywise here?
Well, I thought it was really good because, like I said, it set up a lot of what Derry is. One, set up it with that Music Man reference. Like I said, that was a perfect way, if you really kind of looked at it, set off the whole tone of who it is, who Pennywise is. And then, one thing I kind of noticed, and it really played, especially if you go through and watch the movies and stuff, the usher is kind of the prime example of someone from Derry that Pennywise is evil, has permeated and poisoned the citizens, that zero empathy, and that's the cruelty that's in that town, even when he's hibernating, which really comes out when he comes out of hibernation. And I kind of took those little notes from those guys. Well, and you know what? Like you said, they've made the movies. They had the idea of doing this, and so they know the lore and what they want from it. That he has had some serious kind of trauma because of the fact that he's probably 8 or 9, maybe 10, and still has a pacifier when things get rough or things get tense. And, he gets chased out. You have the little interaction with the dad and daughter who does the film loading and all. And then, gets picked up in the car. And that progressively gets more unnerving. And you start seeing kind of Pennywise's attitude as we go further and further in this car ride. First, it's the the kind of odd questions, and then the like sexual kind of overtones from the family saying crude stuff, which is right out of Pennywise's vocabulary. And then it just gets more and more intense until we see the baby. And when we weren't a close-up on the baby, I thought it looked really well done. But the couple of close-up shots were a little okay. But I was able to suspend disbelief a little bit and just roll with it because I knew what they were going for kind of at that point. But yeah, I mean, a hell of a way to set up the beginning of a series, let alone just this episode.
Thank you. Yeah, it's a really good opening. Really, really like it. Jeff, your thoughts on the opening up to the kid getting killed by Pennywise?
Yeah, I mean, it's a short, opening scene. It's not a very big, section of the episode. But it's a very, definitely a very exciting and very, very probably favorable, direction to go with the opening. Of the first episode of a It TV show, right? For the horror fans, it's a excellent way to begin the show. I mean, I think it's pretty ballsy. Honestly, a lot of folks, with something like this, a horror, based television show, right? They could a lot of them logically probably would. Look to start off, with just, the story, you know what I mean? Outline, the world or whatever, of the show, you know what I mean? To start off, right? And then kind of build up to that, like, to that first induction or introduction of the horror elements, of the show, you know what I mean? In terms of like, the large events that occur, the big stuff. Not the overall general, feel, of that, area, of the story, where you have that, that evilness of the town itself, because of it, to go in the direction of having a major horror, a movie level event occur right from jump like that, is, exciting, interesting, fun, entertaining, but at the same time, kind of confusing a little bit, for me personally, just because, I'm not an It expert at all, I may have read the book and everything, but like, I'm not an expert, as far as the lore goes. And so, for that whole, like, for that whole family in that car, to be acting like that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm assuming, that was it using its powers to, create images, and, project, things that aren't real, like it does, you know what I mean? It's, I think it's very refreshing, for them to, direct the horror with the show, right up front, in a way where Pennywise is not involved. I really like that decision to do that. You know what I mean? Because I mean, it's coming from Pennywise. Overall, you know what I'm saying? But having that, that like having that demon baby, fucking, insane. That pregnancy scene was fucking insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, that was a fucking really horrific, like, fucked up, bizarre scene of fucking television, man. That pregnancy scene, you know? That was out there. You know what I'm saying? You know, when she pulled her underwear to the side and that thing came out, I was like, holy fuck, bro. You know? Like, way to start off a show. You know, I don't know how I feel overall about that baby monster deal, but it wasn't, at least it was different. At least it was not Pennywise. It was something different, you know? That whole angle of having the whole, you know, family, the whole in the car, you know, all be evil, you know, together. That was very, very, very scary, very cool. So I really like that. Very creative. You know, just a great, you know, great way to, you know, introduce the show, you know, you know, start right off with a victim right off the bat, right? Who I believe we see later on in the episode too, as like a ghost or whatever, you know? So that's pretty much it.
Yeah. So, no. Actually, it was good, Jeff, you were bringing out his power. So Pennywise, his ability is just basically shapeshifter. He shapeshifts to any form.
He's also able to project into the kids' minds images that, you know, stuff like that aren't real.
Yeah.
Isn't he?
Yeah. Well, sort of. Like it's both. Like he can project the fears that they have, and like
yes.
and transform him. He can transform into that fear to like really scare them, and then he has this other extra power, which we'll get into in episode 2 because we saw it. That's in the movies and the source material. So yeah, so he does a little both. To like explain the kind of build.
Well, yeah, no, he has multiple types of powers. I think if I remember correctly, you know, from watching videos and stuff about him.
He does.
You know, obviously he's able to manifest a physical form and kill people. You know, like he's able to do that. But one of his main powers is his ability to make people see things that aren't there.
Yeah, sometimes, and sometimes he will do that and like be in the scene, but just in a different form. But yeah, no, you're on point, Jeff.
Sometimes he just wants to scare the fuck out of a kid. You know what I'm saying? Then other times he wants to kill and eat. You know?
Yeah, no, he does that. Yeah, he does that in chapter 1.
Because he feeds off the fear at the end of the day, right? So sometimes he just wants to scare the fuck out of them.
Yeah, we'll get into in episode 2. I'll explain. Like he has actually a big agenda in the movies that like we'll see in this series because they show it like in the trailer. But anyway, Cyber, your thoughts on the opening kill here with the kid? The end point is pretty much when he got killed by Pennywise in the car. Go ahead.
So the beginning of the episode starts out really strong. The whole car sequence is so fucked up. I mean, right from the get-go, you could tell that everything is off. The pregnant mother, the 2 kids, the one daughter keeps staring at him. And just like everyone's kind of mentioned, the sexual overtone was kind of there too. And, but when they have it where the demon baby pops out of the mother, I was like, what the fuck did they do here? This was like so fucked up. And I was like, why is it this common thing now in horror that they keep showing things popping out of fake vaginas? And I'm like, why is this? I don't get what's so cool about this or so horrific. We all know childbirth is something that is very, very painful for a woman. We know that. And at the same time, we know that, yes, it's not the most prettiest sight either. And so I'm just like, I guess that's the reason why they do it, because it's so gross or whatever. But this obsession with it made me think of like I said earlier, barbarian and weapons. This mother thing seems to be a very common thread now in horror films. And so when the thing popped out, and I was like, it didn't really show it. It just showed like something popping out, and then all of a sudden, it finally comes up, and it's like this demon Cupid looking thing. And I was kind of like, I don't know if to laugh at that or to be scared of it, because it didn't really scare me. But at the same time, I'm like, what the fuck is that? And I'm thinking like, wow, this is what Pennywise came up with. I'm like, okay. You know, so I mean the whole thought process of how Pennywise takes out these children's fear has always been something that is very fascinating. And I think that throughout the two It films that Andy Muschietti did versus the miniseries from 1990, you know, we see a big, huge difference in the gore factor, especially in the new ones. That, you know, they went hard R, whereas the miniseries was on TV, we couldn't really go that far. But still, I think that, you know, with the visual effects in this was freaking insane what they did, and it was truly amazing looking. Like, I was really impressed with the special effects, and if any of that was practical effects, that was really impressive too. But I mean, that whole sequence is just so, you know, crazy and just so screwy. And this poor kid, he's trying to get out of Dodge, and unfortunately, he gets picked up by Pennywise, you know, and is, you know, basically altered to think that this is what's going on and gets killed. And you're just like, oh shit, that really sucks, because what a horrible way to go. Because, you know, with his family life, as we kind of get a little bit of interest, you know, a little bit of info about that in the beginning of this episode, that's not really his home life is not the greatest. You know, that's why Pennywise, you know, feeds on that fear and uses that to get him so he can eat him. So I think that, you know, it's a really strong start to the episode, really crazy, really fucked up, and just really intense. It really starts you off going, hey, we're going full forward in this. We're going batshit crazy, and we did it. So I think they did a really fantastic job.
Yes. No, thank you, Cyber. Yeah, I agree with Chris. He brought up, like, it's definitely a Rosemary baby trope thing. But it's also like, yeah, it's this weird trend right now where, like, we're dealing with that in horror movies now. But I don't know. It's always that thing with horror movies. They always dive into the body horror of things, which makes sense. I like that this show is going into more body horror. Great conversation, guys. So let's get into now kind of like the introduction of the main characters we're going to follow this series. So we jump into 4 months later, where we meet up, first up, the main adult character named Major, what's it, Lord Hanlon? Or Major Hanlon. Someone. Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Leroy Hanlon, yeah.
Leroy Hanlon, thank you. Okay, I was kind of worried it was Leroy or something else. I recognize name because was it Jeff Roll Gibbs from NCIS had that like middle name there. So we meet Major Hanlon arrives at the Derry military base, which is going to be another setting we're probably going to focus on. And there he kind of experienced the racist incident there, you know, from one of the kind of cadets or one of the soldiers there. And then after that, we like meet up with the children of Derry. So we first meet up with Teddy, who I think he's actually a descendant of one of the Losers Club kids, right? Stanley, right? The kid from the chapter 1. The Jewish kid, and then we meet up his friend Phil, who's also like a friend of Teddy, and those two are talking in the school, and like they knew Maddie, the kid from the opening, which we'll get into more later in the episode. And then after that, we meet up. I think our main character, the girl named Lily Banbridge, our main kind of girl here, she also knew Maddie, and she has her friend. I forgot her friend's name. Just help me out, Chris. I forgot her.
Oh, I can't remember her name. That's the one that I can't.
Yeah, it's maybe it's I'm just looking at, I don't know, Avraka or
which character we talking about? The main child character?
Yeah, the glasses.
The girl with the glasses.
Isn't her name Barbara?
Yeah, or something like that, Barbara, or something like that. I'm not. Yeah, so her friend, we meet her friend, and like they like know Maddie, and like
Marge, right?
Marge, yes, Marge. I think that's her name, Marge. So we see
Lily's friend, Marge, the chick, the girl with the glasses.
Yeah, with the glasses. So we meet them. So those are like our main characters. Well, some of our main characters. We'll get into it. So we meet them here. They know about Maddie, which is like a big kind of mystery right now. Like, we don't know how they know Maddie, but we'll get into it later on in the episodes. And then after, how do you say it? Because like Teddy remains haunted over Manny's disappearance because he feels kind of sorry about not knowing him as well, while his friend Phil tries to get Teddy to move on. And then we get Lily. Oh my God, Lilo, the main girl.
Lily.
Lily. Oh, thank you. I cannot say it right. I don't know why. I'm losing my mind here. Who's a friend of Matt? Well, a friend of Maddie's. She's feels sorry what happened to him, but she has this like tragic past where she lost her father, who died in a tragedy in a pickle jarring factory incident 1 year earlier, which I was like, what the heck? And then just like wrapping up this introduction of the characters, right? She gets ready to take a bath at her house, but then she gets shocked to hear Maddie's voice coming from the drain of the bathtub, where she sees the son from the mystical man. And then that's where Maddie, the film that Maddie stuck into the night of the disappearance. And then this is where she shares this reappearance of Maddie to Teddy and Phil, the two boys, and they struggle to believe it. And that's where I'm going to cut right there. So let me get to you, Jeff. What are your thoughts on the introduction of these characters? The end point is where the girl is like telling the reappearance of Maddie to Teddy and Phil. That's the end point where like she meets up with them with the hideout. I don't know what you call it.
Are you talking about where she's like the reappearance of Maddie, where she sees him in the drain in her house? Yeah. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to make sure. Hey, what's up, Raymond from Booze and Chill? I didn't even see you in the comment section until just now, brother. If you're still there, got much love for you. Anyways, yeah, I will say right off the bat, since I just mentioned it, that when it works its way up till Lily in the bathroom with that drain, obviously that's a major connection, right, from the books and from the movies, to do the whole voice in the drain, right? Honestly, when that first happens in the episode, when it occurs, I was confused at first because I guess it was a song that she was hearing initially, right? Before it became a voice. And I couldn't make that out really. I was like, I thought it was a conversation of some kind, which I thought was kind of weird. I'm like, why would there be having a conversation occurring? Like from the drain, you know what I mean? Like I thought that was kind of weird, right? But that was interesting. That was pretty scary, pretty freaky, honestly, one lingering like horror related real life fear that I've experienced before in reality myself during an acid trip when I was a kid. Was this whole drain thing with the voices, I experienced that during an acid trip, an LSD trip, when I was a teenager back in the day, at my house, at the family house, in real life, and heard the voices and stuff and the noises and shit from the drain, that shit is fucking freaky, bro. You know what I'm saying? Like, seriously, there's only been like a few random times where I've experienced like what you would call a bad trip type of vibe or whatever from like, from hallucinogenic drugs, right? But because of watching it, and reading it as a kid, during an LSD trip, I manifested the fucking the voice from the drain shit in the bathroom and shit and whatnot. And I was like down on my ear, like listening to the drain, and shit in the middle of the night. It was crazy. So you can thank Stephen King for that shit, I mean, seriously. It was fucking freaked me out, dude, when that shit happened to me. But Anyways, that's a great scary element that they went with that. I really like that. That actress that plays the character Lily pulls off being scared, you know, like very well. You know what I mean? She does a good job, you know, looking terrified, you know, or whatever, right? And like making it very real, I think, for the audience. You know, the fear. I mean, obviously, you know, you can, you know, I guess you can say whatever you want about, you know, the so far, you know, the child acting with the show, you know, but I like, you know, initially, I like the, you know, these characters, these kid characters that they introduced in the first episode, you know, they're all pretty cool, you know. Like, you know, characters to, you know, pretty entertaining to watch, you know, and get to know. You know, I think that the scene where the one kid is like looking out his window at the girl like undressing in her house through the window and looking at her titties or whatever, I think that happens during this section. And that was great. I love that that old-fashioned trope, you know, of you know, the kid like looking out the window at like girls, you know, undressing and shit like that, you know. I always love it when they do that. It's always great. Very Animal House, you know. You know, and I love that, you know. I love the fact that these kids swear, you know. Only on HBO, you know what I'm saying? Do you have your kids, like, on your kid part of your scenes of your show, you know? Like, swearing and saying the F-bomb and shit like that, you know? I love that these kids swear. You know what I'm saying? It's great, you know? It's very realistic when you think about it, because kids swear. You know what I mean? Like, they do. You know what I'm saying? We've all been a kid, you know? And, like, at some point when you're a kid at, like, the age of, like, 11, 12, whatever, 13 years old, you know what I'm saying? Like, we all had friends or whatever, or we personally started like swearing and incorporating swear words into our language. At least most of us, I think, probably did. You know what I'm saying? Maybe not all of us, but most of us had that experience as a child, you know, where you start to integrate, you know, F-bombs and fucking shit and, you know, ass and bullshit and stuff like that, you know, into your dialogue here and there. So I think that that's very realistic to, you know, to have them naturally drop an F-bomb or say bullshit and stuff like that, you know, on the show. Stranger Things, their kids on Stranger Things never swear, you know, or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? You know, I don't know about like now in the show, but in the first season, they don't swear or anything like that, you know. But they're like geeks, you know, like those kids on Stranger Things, they're like geeks, you know, that play D&D and shit like that, right? And it's a different era. It's the 80s. But anyways, yeah, I mean, the introduction to Lily as you know, basically the feature character amongst the children is all, you know, was really cool. And getting to know her story right off the bat and all that, you know, was well done. And yeah, I mean, you know, I love the pacing of the horror, you know, in the episode. It's very well done, you know, it's very well balanced, you know, the timing of it, you know, and the pacing of it, right? As it kind of comes in and out of the episode. I think they did a really good job of handling that, you know, and managing it. You know, to where, you know, to where the scenes and things that are, you know, not like horror based, you know, and are just, you know, more like story driven and dialogue driven and things like that, you know, are still entertaining, you know, so far, you know, right off the bat in episode 1, you know, you know, I think like Andres, you mentioned or whatever, you know, the adult characters in the show are all well acted. I felt like, you know, and you know, well pulled off, you know. I like the I cannot remember his name for the life of me right now, but the main adult character on the show, that black Air Force guy or whatever,
Leroy, that's his name. Yeah,
Leroy. He's good so far. I like him. His story or whatever, you know, like that he has going on, kind of, you know, during the episode and during the show so far is interesting.
yeah. No,
I like it. I like that they're doing something interesting with the adult part of the show, you know, on top of the horror stuff with the kids.
No, I agree too, because that's something that this is very new, and I like that because these stories are all about the kids, and so it's good that we have adult storyline.
You're gonna have that balance more in television than you are in the films. You know what I'm saying? You know, where you're gonna have to like be more concerned about that balance. You know?
Yeah. Well, and I mean, the thing about the movies is like we're following the same characters. It's just that in chapter 2 or the next chapters in the book, they become adults. You know,
in a film, you can have the horror aspects, you know, and have them be big events throughout the film, and then not really have to pay that much attention or worry so much about the, you know, the scenes that come in between. You know what I'm saying? And kind of just build up the story. You know, you know what I mean? You know, you can kind of coast with it. With television, when you're doing it over 6, 8, 10 episodes, that balance is going to be a little bit different, and you're going to have to pay more attention to the stuff that's not horror, you know?
Yeah. No. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah. Okay. Anything else to say about this section?
No, just that if you didn't like, you know, make that, you know, the have that balance, you know, even the balance between the kids and the adults, you know, if you didn't have some solid actors and some good acting, you know, with the adult part of it, you know, and that story, and then you didn't have something interesting going on with that sort of, you know, side story, if you want to call it that, you know what I mean, you know, or whatever you want to call it, of what's occurring in, like, you know, Leroy's like world, you know what I mean, you know, outside of it, you know what I'm saying, and outside of, like, you know, the horror angle, right? Because it doesn't affect adults, right? Like, you know, adults don't know about it.
Yeah, no, and plus, you know, in the It stories, you know, the adults don't like fear Pennywise. Like Pennywise uses the adults against.
I mean,
the kids.
Obviously, we're going to talk about the one dude that does obviously know about Pennywise and does know about it. That's an adult. You know what I mean? But that's a big, you know, obviously like a big, you know, mystery hush hush kind of deal in the show. You know, so
Yes, yeah, we'll get into that. I'm very curious about that one. Cyber, your thoughts on the introduction of our main characters is up to the endpoint is the drain where the kid is talking to the girl. That's the endpoint.
So very solidly done. This section introducing several of the characters. The callback to several names that we have heard in previous films before that are related to other characters was really fantastic. I mean, the Henlons. I mean, that was like obvious, like Mike Hanlon. Hello, Mike Hanlon. Hello. You know, so that was quite interesting. I think that it's great. They have it where, you know, he's in the that, you know, Mike Hanlon's father or grandfather, whoever he's supposed to be, is supposed to be you know, a career military guy. I think that's really interesting how they have that a part of it. You know, and I think that the whole idea behind how they introduced the characters was done really well. I mean, each of the characters are very well kind of described very well too. I think that each of them get kind of a good kind of story arc a little bit to really kind of introduce their characters. We kind of see their home life. We see what's going on with them and all that kind of stuff. And I think that was done really well. I mean, the whole kind of like, you know, controversy between the first kid disappearing and dying, you know, and the 3 kids there that are kind of like, you know, what the fuck happened, I think was really interesting too. And how they were kind of like perceiving and how they were looking at it and stuff like that. And those characters you actually really, you know, like, you really kind of fall, you know, kind of into wanting to know them more, before we, unfortunately, their, untimely demise. And so I think that there could be so much more that they could have shown to certain things, that really would have emphasized more on these characters. But still, I think overall, for such a, almost an hour-long episode, they still do a really good job of, keeping the storyline going very smoothly, even though you don't get all the information you really need to understand these characters better. And I think they still do a really good job with that. But all their introductions, I think, are done really well. I think, like I said, they give you enough information to understand kind of where they're coming from. I think all the set designs were really fantastic throughout these scenes. I think that the houses, the areas that they are in, the school even looked very 1962. I thought they did a really good job of, bringing 1962 back to life. And it didn't feel like an interpretation of 1962. It actually looks and feels like 1962, I feel, which, is very hard, these days when you're trying to recreate something that is, 50, 60 years old, trying to recreate an era that was, 60, 6 decades ago. And I think that they do an absolutely fantastic job of giving us that. And with the visual effects and everything has really made the Derry area, of Maine there.
Cyber,
amazing.
The score, Cyber, is very 1962 feeling.
Yes. And the score itself definitely gives in and gives awe to that setting and everything, and makes it more like the 1960s, which I think is done really well. So I think this is a really fantastic part, leading up to that drain section. I think that it's a really solid, section, gives you some really interesting thought process. And I think overall, I think it keeps you enticed. It keeps you wanting to learn more and keeps you wanting to watch the episode. So I think they did a really fantastic job.
Yes, thank you, Xavier. Yeah, this section is really good. Speaking of the music, the first episode score is really great. I don't know if this is the same composer that did the films, but it's really good. I like the music selection they have here. It really feels like the 62, as Jeff said before. Chris, your thoughts on the introduction of our main characters? The end point is where the girl hears Maddie in the drain, and you see his finger coming out. That's the end point. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, it all kind of gives like a backstory of who they are slightly. We learn more eventually, but it gives us a better look at the way they interact with each other. I mean, between Marge and Lily, they kind of have that little bit of a strained relationship that Marge is trying to be in with the cool girls, kind of the mean girls joining, and with Lily's issues and the fact that she went to the psychiatric hospital that, is in other Stephen King novels. She has that reputation. All of them have some form of trauma, and that's kind of always the way it is with the kids with it. There's some kind of underlying trauma with every one of them. Also, Leroy Hanlon, he is in the original It. That's Mike's grandpa.
Yeah.
And that's, that's his grandpa, Danny Glover.
Yeah. I wasn't sure if he appears in the episode at that point yet.
Yeah. Yeah, because he's introduced that he shows up on the Air Force Base, and he's the one that the other airman the one guy disrespects him, and he kind of puts him in his place.
I noticed his name right off the bat, so I knew that there was the connection was there.
Well, and we don't know it yet. We find out his name a little bit later, but there's another person from another Stephen King movie that we see a lot younger, who's in that Air Force scene.
Yeah, the guy that's in The Shining.
Yeah.
Yes.
Dick Halloran, right?
Dick Halloran, yeah. It was played by Scatman Crothers in the original.
Yeah, he did Dr. Sleep too, right?
Yes, he is. Played by
the character is
Carl Lumbly plays him in that.
Yeah. Oh, I like Carl Lumbly.
Yeah, great casting for that.
He's great. He was
He's
great in
great.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Yeah, and the best thing about Captain America 4.
Yeah.
But yeah, just overall good. I mean, the kids are doing quite well. I think they play the time period perfectly. You know, you've got, like I said, the Music Man still kind of plays throughout this. The songs from that, and that's, like I said originally when I started, that kind of the aspect of that movie sets up the whole kind of who Pennywise is. If you know, like I said, if you know what the movie is about. So
Yeah, and I think that I'm not sure, but that the score, the music, and some of the songs and artists that they use so far in the show, it's very unique to Derry. Like the selection of the songs that they've used so far, because 1962, is like literally like that's right before the Beatles came out, era of music,
well, just like the movie, that's the year that movie actually came out. So they pulled exactly that stuff from those
Yeah.
years right around that time period. So
Yeah, it's from 1962, the movie.
Oh yeah, knowing HBO's reputation and what they've done in the past, you just assume that music must be, right, literally like, right out of, that era.
Warner Brothers also owns the rights to that movie, so it was kind of easy to use it.
Oh, that's true. Yeah. Anything else, Chris? Before
No.
we move on? Yeah.
No, that's pretty much it.
Awesome. The composer that does this show is the same one from the movies, Benjamin Wellfish, because he's a good composer. He did the It chapters. He did Blade Runner 2049. He did the Sham films. He did the new Visible Man. He did the Flash as well, and he did Alien Romulus. Oh God, he did Kraven the Hunter, Wolfman the music. He did recently the good ones, Predator, Kills of Killers, and the new one coming out this week, Friday, the Badlands.
Oh, I just real quick, I just watched the other day, Andres, everybody. I watched Terminator Dark Fate for the first time.
Oh really?
Yeah, it's actually not. It wasn't bad.
No, it's not the worst Terminator movie, but it's a good movie. I like it. I thought it was better than Terminator Genesis.
I did not know it existed until a couple of months ago. I saw something on YouTube about it.
Oh, really?
So I didn't know it happened until I didn't know when it came out. I never heard about it. So when I saw on Paramount Plus the other day, I was like, "Fuck it, I'm gonna watch it."
Oh, awesome! Yes. What streaming service? Paramount Plus has Terminator, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I had Terminator Dark Fate. They don't have a lot of great movies, but they had that.
Oh yeah, no, their selections those are good too.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty decent for a Terminator film. Not bad.
Yeah, no, it's a good. It's definitely good. It's just
I know it didn't do really well, box office wise and all that, but like overall, I thought the casting was pretty good. I liked the characters, the new characters that they brought in. It was pretty decent. It was entertaining.
Yeah, no, it's very decent. Definitely better than the last one that came out before that. Okay, so
they could have not brought back what's her name for the film if they wanted to, and it would have been okay. But
Linda
Hamilton.
Yeah, she's back. I like that they brought her back because they killed it off in Terminator 3, which was not good. But I'm happy they brought her back in that movie.
I like the new Terminator that they came up with, the new type of Terminator that they did.
Which the one with the
Rev 9, the Rev 9.
Yeah. No, that's a good Terminator. Yeah, I actually like that too. One day we should review it. It's not that bad as a Terminator movie.
Didn't they? I'm sorry. Didn't they get James Cameron to come back and produce that film?
Yes, because he got back the rights, so he produced the film with Tim Miller, who did the first Deadpool movie. Yeah. Because he did the story and all that with him. Okay, so let's move on here. So we come after like Lydia tells Teddy Phil about the interaction she had with Maddie in the drain. We cut back to Teddy, where Teddy is with his family with dinner, and like kind of asks about the story, like asks his dad about the does kids get disappear on the ground and all that. And then we get this really awesome like dramatic scene about like the concentration camp that their family had to escape during World War II. Really like terrific, acting there from that dad. And then we cut into Teddy in bed, where this is we get our first Easter egg of the Batman comic book. Everyone doesn't know that's the comic book where we get the first Clayface that has the superpowers. That's Matt Hagen, which you saw in the Batman animated series. So and plus we're getting a Clayface movie, so I don't know, like that was like a wink wink, like oh, hey. I'm still directing Batman, but I also want maybe to use Clayface in my movie, I guess. But I don't know. But something happens. The light turns in and out. Like his light bulb is like acting up. So Teddy is trying to like turn it back on while he's reading the comic book, but he gets this horrific vision of a human lampshade screaming at him. Really, awful. And this actually is, if you don't understand the context, this kind of happened during World War II, where apparently the Nazis like shaved some of like the Jews' skins and made it like into like what we saw here into lamps and some other object. Really horrific thing in that time period. Just if anyone was curious about that, why we had this vision. So after that, Teddy, Phil, and Lydia search for information about Maddie's disappearance. So they do that. They go into the library where I say Phil unfortunately had to be his small sister here, and they find Ronnie Krogan. So this is the girl we met in the beginning of the film. She's the daughter of the owner of the theater, and who tells them that she has heard the children's voices coming from the sewers near the movie theater, seeing the same son that Maddie did to Lydia. And at first she was resistant until they talked about the musical man. She recognized that. So I'm gonna go into the finale here because it is pretty obvious. So after that, Leroy gets ambushed by a masked man, but he's saved by his friend and partner, Rosa. And then the group goes to the movies to search for answers. And this, I was shocked. So this is where I was like, best TV show. Like the kids are in the theater. They're kind of confessing how they didn't know Maddie. And it was a funny scene because they were telling one another they were not crying. But when the screen came up, they were crying, which was hilarious. But Ronnie, the chick, puts on the film where they see Maddie, and I was like, whoa, that's a really good effect there. So Maddie interacts with them, and then he kind of blames them for letting him die. That's always a typical thing with Pennywise. He uses the victim's closest ally. He does this with Georgie to Bill in the It films, where Bill feels guilty for not going with Georgie outside because that's how he got killed, because he didn't have anyone looking for him. So similar way here with Maddie. So Maddie blames them, and then where we see again the mutant baby. I agree with Jeff here. The mutant baby is okay. It's just too CGI, especially he grows big. I don't know. It's that typical thing with Machete. He always likes this big, grotesque CGI creatures. But whatever, we see the mutant baby again. He kills every kid. Literally everyone you thought that was going to be the main cast. Teddy gets killed. Phil gets killed. His sister gets killed. And only Lily and Ronnie escape. Stay safe. But we get an awesome scream to Lydia still holding the sister's hand, which was very funny and grotesque. And then cut to black. So that's the end of episode 1. So let me get back to you, Chris. What you thought about that final section there? Leroy getting attacked, the kids like searching for the answers about their friend, and then pretty much ended up to the massacre of the theater. Go ahead.
Well, like let's go with like the Leroy attack. You know, while he's in bed, still on the base. That actually is with the gas mask and stuff. That's a callback to what's called the Blue Boy Group, which is part of the government organization Operation. What was it? Operation Ripley, which is actually called something that we find out earlier in episode 2. But that group was talked about in Dreamcatcher, which, like I said, that's another Easter egg from King Books. But yeah, I mean, then kind of that whole aspect of, you know, the trying to say, you know, where's this? What, you know, kind of, since he was in North Korea as a prisoner of war at the time before. But then, you know, that kind of gives us a little more of his character and kind of how he's going to be involved in episodes yet to come. Then we go to all the kids meeting at the movie theater. And I think that sends the tone of no one is safe. Like you said, we've got all these characters that we thought we were going to have through the whole entire thing. And 2/3 of them are off in the very first episode. And, you know, and the direness of the situation, the fact that no one's safe, and the fact that the stakes are so high for those that are left. I mean, kind of that first episode really set the whole thing up for that. So
that's pretty good. Jeff, your thoughts on the final part of the episode 1, sir? Go ahead.
Are we going all the way to the end?
Yeah. Pretty
Okay.
much. You know,
Yeah.
give me your answer about like the
Yeah,
attack right
yeah.
now.
Yeah. No, Chris makes a good point. I did really enjoy the aspect of the episode, you know, where it sort of brought the walls in almost kind of on the kids, you know, like already, you know what I mean, like right from the jump, right, of the show, you know, and started separating them, you know, and like killing some of them off. You know what I mean? You know, right off the bat, you know, it's, you know, pretty bloody, violent, you know, depiction, you know, so far, you know, in the first episode, you know, of it, you know, compared to the movies, you know what I mean? They're, you know, in the original It book and story, there really aren't that many actual, you know, missing children that die that actually get killed by Pennywise throughout the whole story. You know, there's only a couple. You know, here in the show, they killed off a fucking handful of kids right from jump. You know, which surprised me. You know what I mean? You know, that they went in that direction. You know, I was a little bit shocked, right? You know, that they displayed you know, Pennywise's effect or whatever, or power or whatever, the way that they did in that movie theater, right? With you know, basically killing, like, you know, all those kids. Like, I think there were 3 of them altogether, right? Or 4 of them that got killed, right? That's yeah, that's different. That's very new for Pennywise, for it to, you know, to kill that many at one shot, right? That's a different kind of thing, you know, a different kind of deal. You know, so I thought that was refreshing, you know, and a nice change, a little different, you know, direction to go with that in the episode, you know. You know, in the film depictions of Pennywise, he very much targets like one child at a time, you know, and that's his deal, right? You know, you never see him killing 2 or 3 or 4 kids in one shot, really. So that was surprising to me, you know. I don't know what the obsession is with that, like that baby from the opening, the demon baby or whatever, you know, as like a featured monster or villain in the show. I hope they don't go with that the whole season, just because like that baby, the demon baby, is not my favorite thing really. But I think it's actually kind of dumb looking, to tell you the truth. It's not really scary. You know. The pregnancy, the birth was was scary, but like the baby itself is not that intimidating. Although it does look pretty cool on screen. Looks pretty realistic, right? Yeah, you know, I love the way that they handled that movie theater scene. It looked great, you know, very retro. And the use of having the kid on the screen, you know, like right in front of the kids, like, you know, and then actually crossing over from the screen and like, you know, having the demon baby come out into real life. That's awesome. You know, it does stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's so far out there beyond anything you think could ever happen, you know, in real life, right? So far fetched, you know. But it was really cool, you know, really, really cool looking. I do get kind of like, I wonder a little bit like how, you know, when the cops show up in Derry, right? And they see things like that happen, right? And there's kids that are chopped up and like, you know, like they got, you know, their limbs cut off and bit off and shit like that. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck do they think is going on when they see that and they find that? You know what I mean? Like, you know, I mean, obviously we'll get into this conversation with episode 2, right? You know, when they actually start investigating the incident and everything. But like, wouldn't you think that questions would be raised or whatever if they came across that event and they saw kids like, you know, mangled up like that, like, you know, obviously bitten by like a monster or something, you know what I mean? Like, you know.
Well, yeah, no, I understand that. Actually, this is another ability that Pennywise does. He actually can control them, so he can trick the adults that this thing is just like someone else did it and it's not him. So he has the power of mind control against the adults.
Well, hold on a minute. I've never heard that before. Is that like, are you talking about that's a part of his overall like influence that he has, where he makes people get more evil and all that, and like, you know, and like make people like hate people and whatever, you know, and all that? Is that, do you say that's a part of that?
Yes, it's a part of that, because that's how they don't really question what's going on with the kids. And you see that in episode 2 with Lil Way's wife, when
it's not historically surprising or different or new, the concept of a city or a town having a lot of missing children, you know, like go on, you know what I mean, and like nobody really like pay attention to it, or the cops not even really think anything of it. Like, you know, if you've ever heard of Dean Coral or whatever, you know, from Houston, Texas. He killed like 30 or 40 children or teenagers or whatever, you know, back in like the 70s, I think, you know, in Houston, right? And the cops never do anything about it or did nothing about it. You know, it happens.
Yeah. No. I kind of agree with you. It's just a thing where Pennywise is like, he influenced so much of Derry. Like, he corrupts a lot of the adults into evil. So that's how, you know, he's able to kill these kids so easy. And so there's like no one will question it. But we'll see, because there's 2 characters that will get a sense of Pennywise because of like their abilities, which we'll get into later. Very good.
Are there several novels or something like that Stephen King wrote about this universe or something like that? Like, where does all this information come from? Just the one?
Yeah, just the one. And the book and the movies explain this. Like they show you.
I read the It book when I was like 12 years old, so I cannot remember everything from it. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
but I don't remember in the book, Stephen King really getting into detail or explaining a lot of the historical stuff.
King is a consultant on the show, so this is coming. A lot of it's coming from him.
Yeah.
Not necessarily written, but like he's got so much of a backstory for this that he's actually working with the writers on this. So
okay, I get what you're saying. Yeah, so basically, the expanded lore or universe of it beyond the book is all in his head.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, the most part, and he is contributing the show with the machetes to like.
So he always had ideas beyond just the concept of it.
Yeah, and there's several characters in other novels. If I haven't gone too deep about this, but there's several characters that have similar abilities as Pennywise that can do that. So
again, Chris seems to know more about this stuff than I do. Like you do too. I don't. Again, I didn't even know that Dr. Sleep existed until like yesterday.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I wasn't even aware of this effort to extend the Shining universe and all that kind of stuff. You know what I mean? I didn't know about it. And I still haven't seen Dr. Sleep. I just saw like a bunch of different scenes from it.
Yeah. Well, one day I need to see that. I haven't seen it yet, but I've seen clips of it as well.
It's a pretty good movie. Rebecca Ferguson is really the best part of it. She's a very good villain in it. So.
The concept of it seems very interesting.
Oh yeah, and we go back to Danny, who's older now. He uses his ability like more, like similar to like we're seeing with Dick, in this show.
Right.
It's just like controlling that.
It's not surprising if you have any experience with like the supernatural, sci-fi, genres and stuff like that. It's not surprising that there would be like vampires out there, that would feed off of that shining energy. You know what I mean? That concept.
Well, it's almost like his concept of, like you would say, the Force in Star Wars. That the Shining can be used for good or evil, because he has it running in several other of his books. I mean, like, Dark Tower's the Stranger. He's like the Darth Vader kind of through his, King universe.
And I know Firestar is not part of the Shiny, but like her abilities of controlling fire is part of that Shiny as well.
I would say in kind of
but different.
Not necessarily the book, but the ability, the kind of quote unquote shining people have. Yeah, and then we actually get a little taste of that in coming up.
Yes, that's true. So anything else to say? Sorry.
Is Dr. Sleep a book?
Yeah,
yes.
It's a book. Yeah, and then it turned into a movie in 2019.
The movie, yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
The book came out in 2013, and then the movie made in 2019. So yeah, long sequel. So
okay, yeah, it all kind of makes sense. The timeline of events, as far as all that, because Stephen King wasn't really known for connecting his stories, like throughout the decades. You know what I mean? That was never really his thing.
It wasn't talked about, but it actually was. He actually had kind of an aspect that went through all of his books that until really recently that it's actually been talked about more publicly that a lot of people didn't realize. I've read, other than a few of his newer novels, I've read all the King books more than once. So I kind of picked up on that, and that's been one of those.
I've become aware of that whole conversation recently, but but only recently have I become aware of it.
Yeah.
Well, this show has kind of brought that idea out a little more. I mean, King fans have always kind of known this has like been kind of an undertone to a lot of his books. So I mean that's kind
sure.
of. But now with this show, and bringing those kind of things all together a little more visibly in one show, people have really started to talk about it.
Yeah, Dr. Sleep, I think, really created, you know, a small, you know, group of people. You know, I've seen some stuff on YouTube, you know, where there's a lot of conversation about, you know, the comparisons between The Shining and Dr. Sleep, and, you know, just expanding off that whole universe, you know, because of Dr. Sleep. You know, it's interesting.
Yeah, yeah. And the movie, like it merges the book, but also it connects to the Kubrick film, because you know, famously, you know, came in like.
Doesn't Dr. Sleep actually show Jack Nicholson's character in the film, but with a different actor?
Yeah, with a different actor. It's not that stupid. It's just another actor playing.
That's what I thought. Yeah, I saw that scene.
Yeah, which is good. And you know what's crazy? That kid, the actor that plays Jack in that movie, is the kid from E.T., which is hilarious. But anyway.
I would have liked to have seen more of you know, them getting into like the ghosts of the hotel. You know, and Dr. Sleep. You know, Danny like traps them. You know, in like boxes. You know what I mean? Remember? You know?
Yeah. It's really cool. Yeah, and he uses them. He releases them to attack Rose, the hat. You know, which is cool. Awesome.
And if you read the novel, it gets way more detail on that.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, I don't know how much. I know because, you know, again, Franklin had to combine the book and the Kubrick version a little bit, but anyway.
Yeah, it's all very interesting. Just the whole concept of the fact that there's actually ghosts that, like, you know, exist like in the hotel, you know, or whatever, you know, like.
Yeah, and it was not in the movie, but like in the sequel is where the ghost wanted Danny's power to like absorb it and like become more powerful as ghosts.
Yeah, it's all very cool that, like, you know, there's ghosts that exist that, like, you know, want that same shine energy or whatever, you know, just like the vampires or whatever, you know.
Yep, exactly. Okay, Saber, your thoughts on the final piece of the episode 1, sir? Go ahead. What are your thoughts on that?
All right, so I feel the ending of this episode is really fun. I think that really the titular part of the end of the episode, of course, is the theater sequence. You know, when the demon baby comes out of nowhere and starts killing all the kids in there. And, of course, you know, we have poor, you know, Mr. Hanlon being blamed for it, of course, because he works in the area. And, but I think that leading up to that sequence, you know, them doing all the research and stuff like that and all that kind of stuff was fun. It was interesting to see what they were going through. We get the introduction of you know, of course, the little black girl, who, you know, ends up kind of like popping it up here and there throughout the end of this episode. And, you know, I think that was done really well. And, you know, I think overall it just really kind of got to the point, you know, showing, you know, once again, you know, Pennywise and how powerful he is. Of course, as we talked about throughout this whole episode, we have the Music Man in the background playing and stuff like that. And I think that's super hilarious that they have that playing in the background and everything like that. But at the same time, I think that it kind of really shows the thought process of, you know, Pennywise as a character and creature, because I'm sure he takes things that he has seen and knows that of that common era and uses it to his advantage. And so I think that being played out through the whole episode really kind of, you know, played out for, you know, showing, oh, this is 1962. This is definitely, you know, a movie from 1962, and that, you know, it's really shown the era of that time and something that the kids will know about, because musicals were so big, you know, throughout the 40s and 50s and 60s and stuff like that, you know, that were very common for young kids to go see in theaters, you know, because they usually always were G. So, you know, I think that really shined and really helped give some interesting portion to this episode and kind of giving you that interesting thing to kind of connect to certain things throughout, you know, that this being 1962. And I also think that whole end sequence is freaking insane. Like the gore, what they do to those kids is insane. And at the same time, the CGI effects that they used were done really well. And I think that they worked out really well for that end sequence. And then basically with her, the girl, trying to grab onto the sister, of the other boy, and the creature attacking her and everything, and you're just like, from beginning to end, you're just kind of like, what the hell is actually going on? You're like seeing things here and there, and like blah blah blah, and it's like I can't focus on one thing. There's so many things going on with this creature. And then when she leaves the theater and the hand's still stuck to her, you're like, oh god, that really sucks. And you're like, holy crap, like that just happened. Like, how the hell did that just happen? And of course, she pops up, pops into the little black girl, which her name keeps escaping me. What's her name?
Lily? Lily?
No.
The
Ronnie?
black girl? The little black girl? Or...
Ronnie. I think it's her name.
Ronnie, yeah.
That's right, Ronnie. Ronnie pops up there right at the end and sees the hand, and you're just like, crap. You're like, and just like how it ends that way, you're just kind of like, wow, what a way to end it. What a way to start it. So I think that it ends on a really great, note. I think that end sequence is freaking fantastic and really gory and awesome and just really insane and keeping true to the Andy Muschietti way. And I think it was really done well. A very great, end portion of this episode that kept you entertained throughout the whole entire episode.
Very good. Yeah, I agree. I think the finale for episode 1, well, the end part of episode 1 was really fantastic. Really got me hooked to the show. I'm gonna save the ratings together with episode 2. So let's get into episode 2. So the episode 2 has this title.
Just do them, Andres. If you want to do a ratings, do them now. While we just talked about the episode, I'm not gonna be able to rate it after we talk about episode 2.
Okay, that's fine. Well, let's start with you, Jeff. What's your rating on episode 1? Go ahead.
But definitely, I'll give it like an 8.
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Chris, your thoughts? Your rating for episode 1.
I'm definitely gonna give it. I won't give it a 10, but for the start of a series, it's awful damn close. I mean, I'm gonna give it a 9 because I think a few things could have probably. The CGI of the big beast could have probably been cleaned up to push it over, where I didn't have to suspend belief quite as much on that. But for the most part, no, definitely a 9. And I don't give out those ratings very often, so.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and I understand. Yeah, this one really is a 10. Cyber, your rating, sir, for episode 1.
I'll give it a 10.
Oh. Yes. Hey, I respect that. Anyway, same thing. I'll definitely give it a high number. I'll give it a 9.5 out of 10. I just love the It series, the franchise, and it was great to come back to this series and this character. Awesome. So we're done with episode 1. Let's get into episode 2. So now we get to episode 2 recap, where it's titled "The Thing in the Dark." So this is episode 2. We pick up pretty much where we left off from the first episode, where after the deaths in the movie theater, we the dad, that's Ronnie's dad, Hank Grogan, who's the owner of the movie theater, is blamed by the citizens of Derry. And then we get we've been talking about this in episode 1, where we see like the ancestors or like the descendants from the major characters from the chapter 1 It. So we got a major one here, Police Chief Clint Barrows, right? If anyone knows, it's probably a reference to the bully that attacks the Loser Club in Chapter 1 and Chapter 2. That's really cool. He's kind of like is scroll from the people for not arresting Hank, but is unable to find evidence that he's involved. And then at the same time, we meet a new characters that are going to be following like now on is Leroy's family. So Leroy family comes into the city of Derry. We meet his wife Charlotte. He has a son named Will, who has arrived in Derry, and he's also like further informed that Colonel Floor, that Masters, the guy that was like racist, has taken the blame for the night attack from episode 1. That apparently they were the Russians, of course, and he refuses to expose the other masked man. And then despite the being traumatized, Lily returns to school after a few days. She annoys her friend Marge. That's her name. Attempts to fit in with her, like as you were saying, Chris, like the cool kids, her
Right.
friends. And then while this is the end point, I'm gonna stop here. While shopping in town to like get some stuff for the house, Charlotte tries to stop several school children beating a young boy, but receives a disbelieving looks from the adults who otherwise ignored the fight. So let me stop there, and this is a good point to point out Pennywise influence of the town, like that, like the way the people look, like okay, like you think it's racist, which it is, but that whole thing is totally Pennywise because Pennywise influence is really affecting Derry here. Like you see the negative force and all that. The kids beating up the young boy. It's like kind of like Pennywise absorbs negative energy from the people and like the fears, and like this is what you see here, and like the fact that Charlotte, the wife of Leroy, kind of like is stopping the fight, it really like will trigger like Pennywise to watch out for her and probably be killed by him.
I'm sure back in the day in 1962, it probably wasn't like all that out of the ordinary for like kids to just beat the shit out of other kids. You know what I'm saying? Like it probably used to happen.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, but I mean, I don't know. Like at the same time, I feel like that I agree with the mom. Is like, come on, like they were standing there, they could at least help the kid. But anyway, so let me.
It was bizarre. I'm sure they were obviously trying to point that whole thing out as like part of the the it thing. I get it.
Yeah. So that's all I'm saying. But I agree with you, Jeff. Like, yeah, that is kind of true. It happens in real life, unfortunately. Saber, let me go to you. Let's. What you thought about this beginning? The end point is where like the wife of Leroy is like shopping in the town, and she stops the boys beating up the young boy, and she gets that weird what do you call it? The weird stare of the people. Go ahead. And something I had to repeat.
So I mean, this episode starts off real solid. Starting right off where the last episode, ended. We get more introduction to the Hanlons. We get introduced to his wife and his kid. Who definitely is not Mike Hanlon. It's definitely I think Mike Hanlon's father. And I think that we definitely get that great connection to the other It films, and I think that's really fun. Of course we get that whole section of him at the him dealing with the that got those guys trying to arouse him and screw him over and fighting him, which was really interesting. I thought that was quite very 1962-ish, definitely, especially in the army, not everyone agreeing with blacks being in the army and stuff like that. Still at that time, still very prejudiced state. And, I think that they did a great job of keeping true to how the times were and just how things were. And I think that they did a really good job, a very tasteful way of doing that in that section.
Agreed.
And so I think that, overall, leading up to, the wife going to the butcher shop and trying to stop that kid from being bullied by those bullies, I think was quite, very crazy by her and her part, especially coming into Maine, which during the 60s, Maine definitely was not a big place for any other ethnicity but white. It definitely was not that type of, the whole, East Coast. There wasn't very many other ethnicities on the site during that time. So I think that stayed very true, with the few exceptions where there was a few here and there throughout the different states. But I think that, her taking that on and trying to stop those kids from bullying him, I was like, wow, you got balls, lady. You got balls. And I was thinking to myself, I'm like, wow, go for it. And the actress that plays the wife, she was actually in Beverly Hills Cop 4. She played the daughter of Eddie Murphy. And I think she is absolutely the weirdest looking person I've ever seen. And I think she totally does not fit into that era at all. So it's kind of funny seeing her there in that era, and it's just kind of like I just don't see her being there. And so it's kind of different because I think it's interesting. She kind of pulls herself like attention to herself because of that look, and I think that makes this character even more interesting and more fun for the show. Being a part of kind of that group that is a part of that line of people that end up being the ones that destroy Pennywise. So I think that's really cool. But I think, up to that point, we get quite a bit of crazy fun things going on there. We have the interactions with the one girl that, is going to get sent to the sane asylum. Her and her interactions with her school friend, that girl there, that, and stuff like that. And you have, them and that kind of crap going on. You also have kind of that, interesting take on kind of just how Derry is and stuff like that too at this time. And you kind of get that feeling, especially, with them moving in there and stuff and having their first house there. I think is done really well. So I think this part is very interesting. I think it leads very well into the next section. And I think overall it's a very fun beginning to this episode.
No, I agree. Very good start of this episode. Chris, your thoughts on the beginning? The end point is where the Charlotte getting the stare with the town.
Right. Well, I mean, the beginning interaction with the return to school and with her walking through the town, like the first episode, gives you another example of Pennywise's influence just over the town itself. That, his evil and, basically apathy permeates even, to the people itself in the town. Up until the point that she tried to stop the fight, everyone was fine with her, was cordial, and I think there is some kind of connection that they haven't maybe described yet with Pennywise kind of seeing what's going on in the town through the townspeople's eyes. And I think that may be why everyone sort of stopped and stared when she stopped them from beating the kid. So I think that was kind of showed his grasp on the town, that up until that point, everything was, quote unquote good. And then all of a sudden you do one thing out of plan and all eyes are on you. And then same way with the kids. It got, they got really progressively mean. And then when they thought someone was out of line for them is when they turned on them. And like I said, I think that was just kind of a building example of his influence on the town itself, including, the kids and townspeople and all of that. So.
Yeah. There was something I wanted to. During her before we go to you, Jeff. During her shopping in the Derry, Mary. We got some of the Easter eggs, like the statue guy. What was his name? Paul
Bunyan.
Paul Bunyan. Like that's a big a thing in Derry that we saw in the early movies. So it was good to see that being built. Right. And then there's a quick cameo of the pharmacist from the movies. I forgot his name, but he's that really creepy pharmacist that hits on Beverly. So there's another Easter egg from there. The credits. We got our main opening credits, and your Chris brought up Easter eggs. That also foreshadows the time that Pennywise hit Derry, as Jeff brought up before, the 1908. And then the 30s, especially the 1908, the massacre theme. I forgot the factory that famously gets brought up in the It movie. So I just want to bring that up right now because we're in the beginning here. Jeff, your thoughts on the beginning. The end point is you were talking about people always annoy the violence when they see it in the streets. Where Charlie get that stare with the people in the town when the boy gets attacked by those bullies. Go ahead.
Okay, sir. So I didn't mention anything about it in episode 1 because it didn't pop up, so I did not say anything about it. But Leroy, Major Hamlin, being attacked by those masked, characters or whatever in episode 1 that wanted information on that secret project or whatever, at the airbase. That whole storyline, right, continues in episode 2, when they find, a guy that they believe is the one that did it, that admitted to doing it, right? Leroy's, boss, I guess, Major Hamlin or whatever, blames it on Soviet spies, right? But obviously, as we learn later on in the episode, that whole situation is kind of a mystery, in terms of that whole, the motivation behind that whole attack, to Leroy, right? That's a very interesting sort of side story that they have going on, I'm very inquisitive about where that's going to go. But so far, I like the whole aspect of Leroy and his wife, and son's family, as sort of a centerpiece of the series, right? I like that so far. The characters themselves, and I don't know, really what to say, as far as, the whole, it Pennywise, energy or whatever, infecting the town and all that. I don't know a lot about that lore or that aspect of it, in terms of the scope of it, the extent of it, all that, it definitely wasn't interesting, how it all went down with Leroy's wife, with the boys beating up the other boy, and then, the reactions to the town folk to her afterwards, like Cyber already mentioned it, kudos to HBO for handling the racial angle of this period of time on the show, depicting it the way they have so far. It's not overdone. It doesn't take away from the entertainment of the show or overdo it. It's well depicted, the racism, I think overall, I think HBO universally throughout history has always done a pretty decent job. Not getting too woke or over politicizing things like that, so I mean, they're known for knowing how to handle those elements well. And they do in the show. It's not glossed over, but it's not overdone. It's really sad that they want to put that girl Penny in the fucking insane asylum, again or whatever, even though she's not real. I feel really bad for her, watching it. You know what I mean? I don't want to see her go to one of those places. Seems like a very scary place to be when you're already being hunted by by Pennywise, right? It's not a very safe place to be, yeah, and as far as the whole frame up by the police department, of the black guy for the murders at the movie theater and all that, that's pretty. I think that's pretty authentic. Authentic to reality. I think in history, there's probably been lots of black folk that have been accused of crimes. That where they didn't commit the crime. They just happened to be there. In the wrong place at the wrong time, kind of deal. So that's not shocking. That would happen. So I don't know. I don't know if that's Pennywise's powers or whatever, or effect or whatever. That's sort of like supposedly like fueling that racism maybe or something, or if it's just like the natural racism of the cops of Derry at that time. I'm not sure. But it's interesting. I do also enjoy Marge, Lily's friend, and it's I like the way that they handle the stuff at school, like the scenes where you have like the cool girl club and all that clique and Lily and all that. It's all very well done. I've enjoyed it so far. I enjoyed watching it. Some TV shows and movies don't handle the childhood aspect or part of of a story well. But they handle it all very well in this show. The blending of the scenes that are dominated by the kids versus the heavily more adult type scenes are well blended. It's a good balance. It feels very much the same like level of quality which is great. So yeah, I mean that's pretty much it, Andres.
Awesome. Yes. Great job, guys. Let's get into the well. So after that, we kind of experienced the other big moment in this episode I did not expect. So after the fight, this is where she kind of Charlotte discussed this with Leroy. He warns her not to get involved again, mentioning a incident of vandalism Charlotte has previously been targeted of. And then after that, we got the Ronnie. We cut back to Ronnie where her dad and the grandma are kind of talking. The grandma doesn't like the situation right now about her son getting accused of the missing kids. Very funny grandma. I mean, the fact that she doesn't keep her voice low, Ronnie hears what's going on here. And so Ronnie goes back to her bed, and then she is another victim of Pennywise. So Pennywise attacks her during this night where she experienced a hallucination where she's in the dead her dead mother's room. So she's in the belly. She comes out of it with all the really disgusting ooze and the blood and all the oh my god, really awful stuff in the room. And then the mom is mostly it's Pennywise using the mom as an image to talk to her and saying that you blames her for her death. So apparently when she was being birthed, she I guess the mom had some I think birthing problems or some miscarriage or something like that kind of caused her mom to die. And so fantastic. And something I want to point out is when the monster, Pennywise was trying to eat the kid, we see briefly the eyes of Pennywise. And I just want to bring this up. His eyes are the orange eyes. And this is a big thing where when the kids see Pennywise eyes, this is in the movies, he easily, that's where he easily hypnotize the kids and like it stands still and like kills them right away. So he almost got Ronnie there, but because Ronnie was moving around, she was able to get away from Pennywise like mind control. So after that like attack, she goes to talk to Lily about her vision, and they discuss the version of the events of the theater where Lily told the police. So she just want to make sure that she's telling the truth and that her father is not going to be blamed, because Ronnie is afraid that her father will be blamed. Then after this, we get briefly, how you say it, like more stuff with Dick Halloran. So obviously we've been bringing up The Shining. So Dick Halloran is the character from the 1977 novel The Shining. He has a special gift, aka telepathic abilities, called The Shining, or how you say The Shining, as in the 1980 classic film by Scatman. And of course, I brought it before, he was played by previously Scatman in the movie, the 1980 version, and then play again in Dr. Sleep and Carl Lumpy, which was a great performance. I like that. And in another actor from the 1997 miniseries adaptation called Marvin Pebbles. So that in that version. So this new one is played by Chris Chalk. He actually played Lucius Fox in the Fox series Gotham. He was really good in that, and he was in The Newsroom, another HBO show. So we see a bit of him. You kind of see his abilities, like before the commit or chief Barros was telling the owner to like get the black soldiers and his friends out of the bar, but he already knew that because he like you think he saw it by looking at what they're talking about, but he read the mind, which was kind of cool. And then they go out, have some moonshine, and then after that they go back to the station, and then the soldier kind of like doesn't trust them, like following procedures, but then he got the pass because of Holland's like special abilities, like he got special privileges. And then in the morning we go to the military dig site just outside of Derry. Colonel Fuller is a what's the word? Abatamized Airman Dick Halloran for his lack of progress, locating something he believes his gifts will guide him to. So, and then just wrapping up, we close this out with Chief Burroughs takes Lee out of school, literally blackmails her. If she doesn't tell her that that the dad is the perpetrator, he will send her back to the psych hospital, the Juvenile Hill psychological hospital. And unfortunately, that's where the terrified Lily is forced to claim that Hank was in the theater that night, and Hank is arrested. And that's where I'm going to end. So, Jeff, what you thought about the crazy dead mother's room incident up to the dad getting arrested? Go ahead.
Yeah. I mean, that scene with the mother, with the one, young black girl, was pretty fucking scary and fucking intense, man. I mean, I wasn't like really scared myself personally, but I mean, it definitely looked really, really cool. It looked really, really horrific, right? Like I already mentioned, I'm digging so far the way that they're depicting the horror, so far in the show, with it not being so much directly linked to Pennywise, but just sort of like, him using his powers or whatever, which I'm not sure. Maybe somebody, has a better idea or opinion on it, but are they trying to? Are they trying to inseminate that when Pennywise is asleep, when he's during his hibernation period, during the 27-year period, like, he has a power over the town to where, like, even when he's not awake, like he's killing these kids or something like that. Is that what's going on? You know?
No, he's not killing the kids, but like his influence kind of permeates like the entire town.
Well, those
even
kids,
when he's
but
hibernating.
those kids were killed in the movie theater for episode 1. They're dead.
But he was already awake.
Oh, he's awake now.
He was out of hibernation.
So he was already active at that point.
Right, because he was awake. It was him that was like in episode 1, that family in the car. That was all him.
That was all him.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
So at this point, he is awake.
I saw his eyes, you know,
Right.
or whatever, right? In the scene with the black girl, the young black girl, and the mother, right? I saw in the mouth of the monster. I saw his eyes, you know.
Yeah.
So that was, I think that was his first real appearance, right? Or the first real indication it was him, wasn't it? So far in the show.
Yeah. That was the first time we saw him.
That was the first. That was the first. You know, remembered. You know, like uniform from the films, sort of
right.
thing. You know what I mean, or whatever, right? The telltale, or whatever. Like, you know, for the viewer to be able to know that was him. Was the eyes? I thought. You know. But no. I think that it's very you know, interesting and even more like horrific and scary when you think about you know, Pennywise's powers, you know, and the things he can do to these kids, you know, and his ability to get in their heads, you know what I'm saying? You know, he's able to create you know, things, you know, for these kids that are so scary yet so personal to them. You know what I mean? You know, and that just makes you know, Pennywise and it so much more interesting as a villain. You know, scary as a bad guy. You know, that there is that element. You know, to his abilities. You know, to where, you know, instead of him, you know, and the clown, you know, depiction of him or whatever, you know, going after that young black girl, it's you know, it's her dead mother, you know, or whatever, right? You know, and that you know, that also shows off Pennywise's other power and ability he has, which is he has the ability of like Professor Xavier from X-Men has, you know, telepathy or whatever, you know, like he can read minds, you know, and you know, and like see people's memories and shit like that, you know what I mean, you know, or whatever. He has that ability, you know what I'm saying? That's how he's able to conjure up these dead people, you know, and stuff like that, you know, in real life. And that's also very cool, you know, and very scary. So, yeah, I mean, these, Lily and that, and I forget her name, but that young black girl character, Roddy, they're in a pretty fucking tough position right now in episode 2 and in the show, man. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it pretty much like, you know, killed off all of their allies, you know what I mean, you know, and now they're on their own, you know, so it's, you know, they're in a tight spot. Oh, and also I like you know, I noticed that I liked you know, again, as Cyber already said something about earlier. And then I already mentioned, you know, how well I thought they did a good job, you know, of pulling off 1962. The school is great. The kids go to, it's so old school, you know, like it looks so old school, you know what I'm saying? And so authentic to like the time period. And and you know, the outfits that the kids wear and stuff like that at school and all that, you know, in that time period, right, are very, it's very interesting, you know, very different from like now in 2025, right? I've seen the one, there's the major guy, the Leroy's boss at the Air Force or whatever, or the Navy or whatever the fuck it is. I've seen it before in other films and stuff like that in the past. I forget the name of the actor, but he's the only person that in the cast that I've ever seen before that I noticed.
James Remar.
James Remar, yeah.
Yeah, everyone knows him from The Warriors, 48 Hours. He was the main villain there. Yeah, he's a great actor.
Yeah, besides him, there's not really anybody I noticed so far in the cast during the show through episodes 2 that I've ever really seen before than anything else that I can think of that I noticed, you know?
No. Yeah.
Which is, of course, not surprising because it's HBO and a lot of their TV shows, they usually will cast pretty much people who are all not known, you know? They're known for that, right? I mean, that's pretty much it so far, Andres.
Awesome. Chris, it's your turn. Your thoughts on sorry, let me get through my train thoughts. That's what I was gonna say. So the crazy dead mother's room attack up to pretty much the dad getting arrested. That's where we're at. We're gonna end point there.
Well, I mean, it just shows this is kind of what Pennywise does. He plays on the insecurities of the kids and the victims because, you know, we see Ronnie has some kind of guilt about her mom, you know, dying in childbirth with her. And this is the perfect kind of twist that Pennywise does to it. So, you know, because if you notice, like, she still had the umbilical cord attached. So it played on that it was all, you know, kind of her fault with this death of her mother. And then, just the I don't want to say, like, with the whole thing, I know we were talking, you know, and talked about, like, the whole racial issue. I don't think it was so much of, like, a legitimate racial issue. And it was more like the sheriff trying to kind of cover his own ass. You know, you had these other people that were pushing to get anybody. And the only other person other than the kids they can pin it on was the dad. Gorgon, I think was his last name or whatever. So it was just kind of pushing on, and he was going to manipulate the girl because she was kind of the only witness that he could turn, because obviously his own daughter wouldn't turn on him to have some kind of explanation. So, you know, he threatens her with having to go back to the insane asylum, and he already knew she was traumatized. I think some of that had, you know, Pennywise's influence on him to go there with that. So, and I mean, it was good, kind of, like I said, it showcased his ability to kind of manipulate their own guilt and twist it into fear, which obviously is what he feeds on.
Thank you. And anything to say, Chris? Just want to make sure. To Cyber. All right. Cyber, your thoughts on the as you were saying, for the repeatedly, like, why we're doing the dead womb scare up to, like, the dad getting arrested. Go ahead. That's the end point. Dad getting arrested.
So this sequence again is another fucked up sequence that is absolutely like, why? Very similar to the beginning of episode 1 with a birthing section where somebody's coming out of a uterus again, which is absolutely crazy and insane. I mean, that whole getup that they built there was freaking awesome. If it was all CGI, that was pretty amazing. If it wasn't, if it was like some practical effects, so that was pretty cool. I mean, that whole sequence is insane where she's like literally in her bed and she's under the sheets and starts turning into like flesh and all that kind of stuff, which is really crazy. I think that whole section is just totally so crazy and fun. And I think they did it very well. And you're just kind of like, what the hell? And then like when the dad busts in and she's not covered in anything, you're like, wow, that was just all in her fucking head. You're like, oh shit. Like, that's amazing how powerful Pennywise's powers are. And just really shines on like how amazing of a villain Pennywise is. And that creature is just freaking insane. And like, just like how he's able to lure his prey in that way is just freaking crazy. And to make it seem like that real. And I think that leading up to the father being arrested, I think is quite interesting. Him being because the girl says that maybe he could have been there, I don't know, because I didn't see him, type of deal. You're like, okay, like this is just great. And you're kind of like, I'm like, oh girl, you dumbass. Like, really? You're gonna do that to that poor guy? I'm like, come on, he wasn't there. But that sheriff guy having to do what the town people are asking him because they are like, we can reelect somebody else that'll do what we want, maybe you won't get to be reelected, type of deal. You're like, oh, this people of this city, they're pulling the strings in this town. You're like, this is kind of fucked up. So I think that, this section is done well. I think it's very interesting. I think it keeps you entertained, keeps you wanting to flow through the episode. And that freaking scene with the birthing mother was freaking insane, but done very well. Really enjoyable. Really thought it was fantastic. And overall, just a great sequence.
Yep. No, I agree. Very good. Very good. Okay. Just getting myself like that right now. Oh, okay. So after the dad's arrest, speaking of this because there's a lot. So we get another scene. Like you were saying before, why? We get another why of like insanity. So after the dad gets arrested, Ronnie confronts Lily about the lie she did, and of course she doesn't get any response. And then we cut back to Lilia like going shopping, and and then we get another attack with Pennywise. So Pennywise attacks again at Lilia in the store where she gets trapped into like this maze. And I just get a few notes here. Like the one of the cans is actually from The Shiny. If you pay attention, it's like one of the Indian canned foods that was in the original 80 classic film from Stanley Kubrick. You see it right there when Lyria is doing the maze. That's from The Shining there. So, because we have now Dick here as the main character in this cast. And then we see a couple of cans where they show the victims that Pennywise take. He always does this. He always reintroduces the victims that he already killed into some weird form. So you see Phil and Teddy in one of the cans in the maze, and in a very hilarious way. And then we get the weird one here where Lyria hears her dad in a pickle jar, and then the pickles start to form the monster pickle of her dad, because last episode we got the backstory of her dad being a good guy, trying to get something out of the pickle jar machine, but he gets shredded completely 1 year ago, 1 year after this timeline. And we see this corpse being formed in such a grotesque way, and then attacking the daughter. And then, of course, she gets snapped out of it. And concerned over her melted state, the mom sends her back to the hospital, the Gibber Hill psych ward, which was really sad. I didn't like that she went back and damn you, Pennywise. So, and then after that, we cut back to. So I'm gonna go straight to the end point of the episode 2, so we wrap up here. So Leroy visits Masters in the cell. He seduces that he's not one of the masked men. He knows that despite him not liking him because of the race, he is unable to properly load and use a specific firearm. So he doesn't have the technical skill and like prowess that he saw of his attackers. His attackers was way superior. They knew how to do like their guns and all that. So they were not Russians. It was not masters. So he figures out it could be General Saw, and he relates this to General Saw, reveals that the attack was staged by him to test him. We don't know what. So he explains that this was done to see if Leroy could earn his trust. It shows him their secret project called Operation Chris kind of help me out here. Prisa. And because so we haven't mentioned before, we mentioned the timeline, 1962. This is around the Cuban Missile Crisis. If you haven't seen 13 Days or like the X-Men First Class was like the whole finale was about the Cuban Missile Crisis. So we're in this particular time and where the Soviets versus the Americans it's going on here, and we've been seeing that these first 2 episodes. So Shaw, it's funny. His name, I love how the actor was James Remar's character is named General Saw, and then the villain from X-Men First Class is Sebastian Shaw. That's funny. Anyway, that's just it's kind of funny that we got 2 Shaws in big in this big event from 1962. Anyway, he explains that the Tennessee riots in the Cold War. So his project is aimed to locate a fear-inducing weapon. So is applying that he's trying to find Pennywise, who has this ability, like as you've seen before, this fear-inducing like ability he does with the people in of Derry, and he believes that it's buried somewhere in Derry and to aid the war effort. So he wants to use Pennywise to like stop the Russians. That's basically what he's saying to us. And then Fuller arrives to inform that they found something in the site, and they see a car full of skeletons believed to be a beacon to locate the weapon. And then we cut to black. So let me get to you, Chris. What do you thought about this whole end section here, getting the revelation about the whole testing with Leroy and poor Lily seeing her dad in the pickle jar and then getting sent to the war? Go ahead.
Yeah, okay, once again, like, it's the example of Pennywise using their guilt, because if you remember in the first episode, she said that she asked her dad to go back to get the thing.
Yeah, that's right.
And he died because of her asking her to go back. You know, much like, even though it wasn't, like, directly involved, you know, with the kid, with what's his name,
Georgie, Bill.
Yeah, with the lampshade. You know, his dad had said the generational trauma with the skinning to make the lampshade. You know, so he felt that guilt because they were kind of messing around at the table, and his dad went off like that. So we see another example of Pennywise being able to manipulate that guilt on these kids with the whole, grocery store incident. And yeah, you knew it was almost coming, that no matter what she did, that was her biggest fear, is to go back into the mental hospital. You almost knew that that's at some point that's what was going to happen. So, and a place like that would be a feeding frenzy for Pennywise. So, and then we go back to, the Major Hanlon talking to the commander and discussing like the incident, and he knew there was one other thing on there that I don't know if you noticed, that he talked about his injury, and that because of his injury, he doesn't feel fear. And that was one of the things that the commander like focused on, because he would be the perfect person to be able to combat Pennywise, because it appears that they already knew like what his tactics were, in this Operation Precept that, from the Air Force, they've developed this, which actually in the books later on gets turned into something called Operation Ripley, which reference Alien and Ripley from Alien. So we kind of get that with the whole Pennywise aspect, which we know later on from the movies that's he's not from this world. And actually, like I said, talking about like the several books they're associated in, the Air Force base is associated with what they call the shop. And this group that the Air Force is in, they get turned into later in the 70s, get turned into the U.S. Department of Scientific Intelligence, which breeds like Dreamcatcher, Firestarter program, all those things. So this is kind of the jumping point off on all that.
It's also the one that brings in the myths, right? Because I know the shop, it's that. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah, so that kind of ties everything in that this organization kind of has its hands in a little bit of everything. So, and it also gives a first clue that this military group knows more about Pennywise than what they're letting on. Because if he was focusing on Leroy's ability to not feel fear, they know exactly how Pennywise attacks his victims. And it kind of leaves you with what's next when you see, Dick's, saying that, this is where that Jeep is, and they finally find it, and that's kind of where it ends off at. So it's kind of building and culminating up to it's going to be soon that we're going to get major conflicts with Pennywise, not these just little side attacks.
Yeah. I saw the preview for next week, or well, actually this Sunday. I think it's going to be really exciting because we're going to see more Dick's abilities more, which is kind of cool. Because you briefly get a sense of like he has it here, but I think next episode we'll see more full on that.
Right.
Any more to say, Chris? Before I jump to either Jeff and Cyber.
Sure.
But yeah, I knew the shop was something major from the Stephen King universe. Like I knew it primarily from Firestarter or Miss.
Right.
And I'm wondering. I'm sorry, I had to address this because in the trailer, you see a literal frog coming into Derry, and I don't know if that's connected to the Miss or not. So expect more creatures coming into this show.
Very possibly.
Yeah.
And like I said, that whole Cold War space race kind of, at the end of end of World War II, there was the Nazi lean into the more mystic and the mental ability kind of thing, shifting into the Cold War kind of thing, which King wrote about a lot. I think that's what they're playing on right now.
Yeah, no, it's a good parallel to World War II and what's going on with the Cold War that was in the 60s. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Jeff, your thoughts on the whole final part of this episode, the pickle monster, and the whole the twist in general. Go ahead.
I mean, I don't know, the horror scene, the scare scene, the it scene with Lily was actually not really all that intense. The whole pickle jar, dad talking to her deal or whatever was kind of whatever, it was okay, it wasn't as good as some of the other stuff we've seen, besides that, so far, but that one was a little bit low key, and that's one of the other like interesting things about Pennywise and his powers, though, is that he also has the ability to ostracize the kids, that he hunts and scares, or whatever, publicly, and with their families, you know what I'm saying? By like, using his his illusion abilities and powers and things like that, and and then of course, the adults don't see any of the stuff that the kids see, so the kids end up looking stupid and crazy and stuff like that, in front of the public all the time. So that's one of the other things about, one of the aspects of like what happens when Pennywise, is affecting your life or whatever, or haunting you. Your whole like world falls apart, and we'll see what happens to Lily at the insane asylum. It's gonna be. I have a feeling that bad shit's probably gonna happen to her there. That's probably not a good place to be. So I mean, that's fucked up. Look at what Pennywise did to her. You know what I'm saying? He caused her to end up in that position at the end of the day. So, I mean, the other guys have already talked about, the racist framing of the father, for the crime, and all that shit, this whole, side quest or like side, story deal, we have going on now in the show where, the one guy, you guys can tell me his name. I forgot. That works for the military that knows about the existence of Pennywise, right?
Dick Hanneran, that's the one.
Yes. That's a very interesting twist to the show, to add that element to the story, right? And have that going on, obviously hearing his backstory will be very, very, very interesting because, from what I understand or understood about Pennywise, kids don't survive him. That like once he hunts them or targets them, So like what that guy did to manage to survive Pennywise or whatever, will be interesting. That seeing that car that they found under the ground with all the bodies in it and all that shit, that was cool. I like that. I'm not exactly sure what was going on there with that, like what that was about, or like if Pennywise caused that or something like that. I don't know, but it's always interesting to have something going on where you've got like secret military projects going on, and like you're digging up the, underground and all that kind of stuff. It's cool. I like it, it's fun stuff. It'll be interesting to see what other stuff they find. Why they're digging underneath the ground or whatever, that's very interesting that they're adding an element where the military wants to weaponize or Pennywise, in some form. You know what I'm saying? We'll have to see where that goes, further down the line in the season, but yeah, I mean, it's a very interesting, like place that the episode 2 ends the story for right now, I definitely wanted more, when it ended. I was like, oh, okay, that's it. So, yeah, I mean, it's, so far, the show's been really, really cool, really interesting, really great. And, the events of episode 2, everything went about happening with a really great pace in the episode, so it really blew right by in a way, and it's just really, again, it's sad how Pennywise has caused this like serious alienation for that girl Lily, with everybody, like at school, you know, at home, you know, like everywhere, you know, it's crazy. I love seeing them like focus in on that aspect, right, on the show. I think they're doing a really good job of being creative and adding a lot of different elements to the show so far that differentiate from the movies purposely, right? And so far it's all hitting very well, very good. So that's it.
Nope. That's good. Awesome. Saber, your thoughts on the final part of the episode, sir? Episode 2. Go ahead.
All right, so the ending of this episode is pretty damn good. I think the supermarket sequence is amazing. That creature, that the little pieces that keep coming out of all the different pickle jars is freaking insane. And then it pulls together and becomes like an octopus head, which was freaking sweet. That was just really great. Once again, just got to reiterate, Pennywise is very talented at making things scary as hell. He is freaking this creature of, you know, ancient years, that which I'm hoping when they do go back to 1908, they explain that he's actually been around a lot longer than 1908. But at the same time, you know, this creature is like so freaking like insane that it comes up with these ideas to scare the people is really done well. And if you think about it, it's kind of similar to in the film Phantoms that came out in 1998 from Dean Koontz, starring Ben Affleck, Rose McGowan, and Liev Schreiber, and how this creature has literally had no enemies for centuries, and can, you know, basically create itself into anything it wants. It's the same thing kind of with Pennywise. It's like that same type of thought process. And this sequence here, I feel, with in the supermarket, it just shows how powerful Pennywise truly is, and that what makes him such an evil creature that is just so badass. And I think that's done really well. Pretty much the rest of the episode, you know, I find Ronnie kind of a little bit annoying at some points, especially when she's like, "Oh my god, my daddy's in jail," you know, and yelling at you know, at what's her face and stuff like that. I was like, I thought that was so unnecessary. I'm like, deal with it, girl. It's gonna happen. And so I think, you know, everything leading up to that, and then her getting thrown into the Sanasan, you're kind of like, oh shit, that sucks. Like, what is she, like the future Henry Bowers? Is she related to Henry Bowers somehow? And you know, it's kind of that type of thought process. You're like, wow, like what Easter eggs have they shown me? What Easter eggs are they, you know, leading me towards? Who is related to who, and what intersects into the original story? And I think that they're doing such a great job of interconnecting that all and doing that. And I think this episode does that very well. And I think it's a really great continuation of the first episode. And all the crazy shit that happens in this episode was just so well done. Another solid film, you know, episode that I just really thought was really great. So I think it's a really great conclusion, a really great end to a really fantastic episode.
No, thank you, Cyber. Yeah, I totally agree. So before we do our ratings, I just want to bring up some references or like stuff very quickly to kind of point out what we sort of missed. First, I just want to bring out the credits, the street house, the what do you call it, the Neibolt street house. Everyone doesn't know that's the house that the loser clubs get access to the sewers. That was something I need to bring up. The comic book that what is it, the that Teddy was reading in episode 1, that was issue 298. That's the first appearance of Matt Hagen, the secondary Clayface. And yeah, and I just want to bring that up again because that also foreshadowed, if you didn't know about what's the abilities of Pennywise, he is somewhat Clayface, just differently. He's not like a mud creature, but you know, he is a shapeshifter just like Clayface. So I thought that was actually a very nice way to like kind of explain like what is Pennywise is as a character. So and then there was something else. Let me go back to my notes here. Sorry. that was a kind of important here that totally. So besides the comic, the music theme. Oh yes, I know the cock-a-doodle-doo. That was a little. What do you call it? A subtly, like reference to like Misery, because I think the Kathy Bates version of Misery, the movie from 1990, kind of used this term while she was like really getting upset when the author like didn't say the right words to her in that movie. So I just want to bring that up. We've got the Karen theme, some couple of movie horror posters that was in like I think Phil's like the Black Lagoon is there. That was kind of cool. The whole thing. The turtle thing. This is going to be the last thing because in the first episode, mainly the first episode, there were a bunch of turtle like stuff, like the
The bracelet charm.
Yeah, the bracelet charm. That was a cool thing. They did that. The bird turtle. If anyone knows about the It book, so Pennywise is an alien. Basically, he is a cosmic alien. He's from outer space. There in the story there was one creature that was supposed to be in the book. They haven't adapted it all in the live action version. He's called the bird. He's one of the guardians of the being of kings, much wider like into the interconnected universe of Stevie King, particularly the Dark Tower. He's like the arch enemy of Pennywise. He's the good guy, where Pennywise is the bad guy, and he's always hopeful, hint that the people there are not wholly alone in their fight. So he's always there to help out the fight against Pennywise. So I just want to bring out the whole turtle stuff that was going on in the first episode. It's a big thing with the It book, if you don't know that stuff. Anyway, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us tonight. Let me go to the ratings right now. Chris, tell me about your rating about episode 2, and go ahead.
I'm going to stick right with the 9. I think it was really good. It was way, way more fast-paced. Like, in the storytelling itself, it got to a lot of the aspects of what to expect a lot faster, I think. So it made that time seem like, it flew by, like it was shorter than the first episode. But, still really good, still going strong. Can't wait to see kind of what's next.
Yeah. Awesome. No, I agree. Jeff, your rating, sir, on episode 2. Go ahead.
I don't know. I guess I would probably give it I'm not sure. It's a tough one on this one. I'd say probably I'll give it a 7.5. I was thinking I might give it an 8 again, just like episode 1, but I'll give it a 7.5 just because it was a little bit of a shorter episode. Not quite as much like impactful stuff occurred in episode 2, but it was still a good episode, and a lot of interesting things happened. The direction so far for the overall for the season, based off episode 2, is great. I'm very optimistic about the show.
Awesome. Yes. Cyber, your thoughts on the rating for episode 2. Go ahead.
I give it another solid 10. I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really solid episode, and I thought, like I said, I thought these 2 episodes were a really great start to this great series so far.
Awesome. Yeah, my rating is I'll definitely go down from the 9.5 to 8.5 out of 10. I thought this was a decent sophomore episode 2.
I like the show a lot so far. I'm reluctant. Not that I have nothing against Cyber's ratings. You know what I'm saying? I'm very respectful of them. But I'm reluctant to just drop 10s, that quick in the beginning, this early in the season of the show.
Yeah. Yeah, I get episode 1 being a 10. It's a good solid pilot, but episode 2, I don't know. I kind of agree with you, Jeff. Like it was very short. Like it was just like getting us like it was like a restart because we now have to deal with new characters that are like our main characters now moving forward. And it was just like getting rid of some of the plot points from episode 1, and now we're pinning it off. So it was an okay episode, but I thought it's still high quality from HBO, which is good. But yeah, so it's a good show. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight on Welcome to Derry episode 1 and 2 recap discussion. Sorry it took long, but you know we're doing 2 episodes, so I tried my best to kind of keep it very concise because there was a lot that they had here because you know it. So I just want to thank everyone. Just want to thank Chris for coming here tonight. Thank you, sir, for taking your time to talk about the show.
Oh,
and,
absolutely.
You know, thank you for Jeff and Cyber letting me do this moderation. This was my pick for them to do this for this year, which was awesome. I like the It film, so when I heard this show was going to be in HBO, I was like, okay, we have to talk about this. If it was good, like it'll be an awesome time. So I'm very excited for it. Chris, I'm because you're a little more of a Stephen King fan. Do you know how many episodes that this show is going to have? It's like 8 or
I think it's 8. I think that's
Yeah.
what the slate was. Usually HBO, that's kind of where they go.
That's-
8 to 10.
That's their
It's
standard.
kind of-
It's 8.
Yeah.
8? Okay. Yeah, I suppose I'm sorry because I was just gonna like I didn't know how many episodes they had because they didn't confirm that, but yeah, it looks like it's gonna be 8. So
Right.
yeah, thank you. But yeah, so we're gonna run from from 26th of October that it got released. So we're gonna pretty much talk this until December, which is crazy. So yeah, so that's all I have to say. And I'll just for content for MCU Bleeding Edge, Friday we'll be back again to do a movie review. I think it's Kill Bill Volume 1, right, Jeff?
Yes, sir. It is.
so-
it is.
Yes. So that's going to be our next movie review. So now I'm going to take it to Jeff to kind of plug us out. So thank you so much. This was a blast. Have a
Great
good night.
job. You did a great job, sir. Good job. Way to handle the double episode recap. All right. So I will go over to Chris, sir. Please go ahead and do your plugs.
Okay, I am Chris from Nerds, Geeks, and the Kitchen Sink podcast. We are a show about just about everything, music, comics, movies. We've got a new episode coming out this Sunday. And I also suggest going back a couple of episodes to one of our Halloween shows. We have a independent filmmaker that is working on and finalizing a horror puppet movie. I mean, it's practical effects. You can see one of the thumbnails up there, Frank and Zed. Basically, it's the Muppet meets Evil Dead, and it's a blast. Yeah, we've got a new episode coming out this Sunday, and hopefully you guys take a look. Find us on all the social medias. We're on X and Instagram. I think DK's got us on Blue Sky. We have our YouTube channel, and we're on every form of podcast platform that's out there. So take a look, guys. And I appreciate you guys having me on.
No.
Most definitely, sir. We appreciate you more than you know, and we definitely encourage folks to support your content.
Thank you.
Great job tonight on the recap. You made some good points. And next, I will go to my good friend and trusty, loyal co-host, Cyberneticshark. Go ahead, Cyberneticshark.
All right. So if you enjoy me on the panel, if you enjoy me here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge, you can check me out on YouTube under Cyberneticshark. You'll find all of my content there, which leads you to all the other places, X, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of cool stuff. Most recently, I've been putting up some AI mini shorts that I've been making with Sora 2. If you check those out, they're pretty funny. I think some of them are absolutely hilarious, especially the wrestling ones. Check those out. You can also check out my most recent mini review of Tron Ares, which I saw yesterday. Really great film. Also, my most recent review, of course, is One Battle After Another. Finally got that review up for you guys. Only saw it about 3 weeks ago. Busy last 3 weeks, a month, I should say. Content will be coming out more regularly again here soon, guys. So keep your eyes up for that stuff. If you haven't seen that stuff, definitely check out all that great content there. We appreciate all you guys watching us here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge. Please subscribe if you haven't. Please check out Patreon. Check out all of our content all over the place. Keep watching us here on the MCU'S Bleeding Edge and check out all our other great guest content too as well. We appreciate it, and thanks for watching.
Cyber, you met Teddy Roosevelt. Good for you, brother.
Yeah. He tried trouble. Yay.
That must have been a very exciting a moment, you know.
Cyber, you have to be my wife now. You have to meet Angela Bassett. That would be amazing.
Okay. That's just going too far there, bro. Okay.
Oh my god, my wife would be happy to see you.
If you would like me to meet Angela Bassett, I could try, but I can't 100% guarantee you that will work.
Technology, there's technology. You can do some interesting shit these days with technology, baby.
Yeah, I was surprised. He did the Pizza Man, which I was like, wow.
He did the Pizza Man video.
Yes, he did. He did it for me. He's in the MC Bleeding Edge chat, sir. You have to check it. It's so funny. It's so great. Anyway, we'll discuss that more. Hello, this is Andreas Pole Culture Guy. I just want to thank everyone for taking their time to watch this live stream review of it. So, Andreas Pole Culture Channel Presents has big plans for November. So I'm just getting around some of the Halloween stuff out of the way. So I just recently released my Reanimator 1985 tribute. It's 40th anniversary this year, so check it out. Great horror film by the late great Stuart Gordon. Of course, starring Jeffrey Combs. Of course, I did a live stream review with Luke. Thank you, Luke, from Franchise Addict, for just joining me to do discussion on the 1985 classic film. You can check that. We did trailer reactions on major trailers that came out, the big horror trailers. We reacted Screen 7, and what was the other goddamn horror thing that came out last week? Stranger Things Season 5 trailer. We reacted to that. It was fun discussion. But this month is Bond. It's Bond Mania. So my next live stream review is actually this Sunday, Thunderbolt. So I got a couple of guests here. The Room Upstairs podcast is going to join us this Sunday. I need to double check if they're good for this Sunday. So we're gonna be joined by them for Thunderbolt. And the next two live stream reviews of Bonds will be A View to a Kill of Roger Moore. Roger Moore's final turn as Bond in 1985. That's going to be second. Thankfully, Matt from Born to Watch is probably going to... Matt from Middle Age Reviews is going to join us for that, for the 16th. And then, of course, the last one for the 30th is GoldenEye, the first outing for Chris Bronson. Matt from Born to Watch is going to probably join us with that. So a lot of guests I'm putting together to join us for those live stream reviews to celebrate these Bond movies. So please join me to celebrate these Bond films that I love. I'm a big Bond fan, and all the bells and whistles that I'm going to do to celebrate these in my channel. So that's where I'm at right now. And in terms of shorts, I recently reviewed the Reanimator. I did a review for Casper. Next review will be probably the third season of Daryl Dixon that I did with Jeff like a couple of weeks ago. So watch out for that, and I'm going to do more clips from movies, and that's where I'm at right now on my channel. So thank you, everyone. Have a good night. That's all I have to say.
All right, folks. You heard the man for the MCU's Bleeding Edge YouTube channel and podcast. Cyberneticshark, Andre's the Pop Culture Guy, did a great job tonight. It's great to have Chris back again. We'll see everybody later. We love everybody, and peace out.